Welcome to the Minnesota LCS. My name is William Chillingwalk Moore. I'm going to be the play-by-play for today. And on the other side, we have Donovan, Madcast, Fenris, Faye on my side doing the color casting. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing really well, and actually, it's been a while since I've been called Madcast Fenris. I've been preferring Fen now. I forgot to tell you that, but
Oh, man.
either way, we're gonna be starting off Week 7 with the two UMD teams playing off against each other, the Chicken Chasers and the Dads. It's gonna be really interesting to see if there's gonna be any hometown rivalry between these two teams, since they're literally from the same school.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of exciting play here. Both teams from the same organization competing against each other. So it's going to be, like you said, a lot of rivalry in these two teams, a lot of debate, a lot of kind of pride on the line for both these players and both these teams, seeing which one is the best out of this University of Duluth squad here. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very, very hypey, and I want to see who's going to be edging out in this game here. Who's going to be pushing it to their victory. So far here, so since I'm a new caster here, come from Minnesota LCS, and I'm a kind of a guest caster for today here, what are your takes on these two teams so far, Fen?
Well, from a statistical standpoint, the two teams are actually very even. We have the Chicken Chasers being 3-2, while the Dads are 2-3 in the standings. So they're very close, but at the same time, we've been seeing a bit of a different play style, where there was, in the last 1 or 2 weeks, there was a big roster change with both teams actually swapping around members from each team. We had over Zyx join the Chicken Chasers as their jungler, which he has been seeing great success, especially when it comes to working along with the mid laner of that team. Trying to remember, I believe it's Death Roche was the mid laner for that team now as well. And meanwhile, we can see Nerfakali Please and Kaga Rhino have been doing excellent work over on the side of the Dads. So it's a bit of a difference of having a little more focus on the jungle for the Chicken Chasers and having a bit more focus on the bot lane for the Dads.
Yeah, awesome. Glad to hear it. Now, this is the second week of patch 7.5 here, so we definitely want to see what new meta champions are coming out. So, we have seen the change of top lane. The tanks have been slowly dying out, while the Red Rumbles, the Renekton's, sometimes the Camille's are coming out as well. So I'm excited to see what these players have adapted and what have they learned when it comes to these champions and what has come through, especially when you compare the 10-man versus the 6-man. These can be, they could be banning out these S tier champions, such as the Rise in the mid lane, or maybe the Graves in the jungle, or possibly, maybe some pocket bans as well, targeting maybe Catbug XO on his Karma, or maybe some specific champions as well. I know Kakarino is known for that Ezreal, so I want to see what kind of bans they will be doing, or what kind of targeting selections they want to do, and what they want to aim for in regards to team compositions and the mind games of this pick and ban. So, second week, what champs are you thinking about so far that it will be coming through in this new second week of patch 7.5?
Well, for the champs that are going to be coming through, I think that's mostly going to be the people that are kind of A-tier champions, or people that are S-tier, but not necessarily pocket pick champions, as you mentioned before, such as you have Rhino being extremely known as a great Ezreal player, so that may get banned. However, I would argue there are much more preferable bans that they could have, such as Nerfakali Please has been seen to have an excellent Azir game, and that has been banned against him once already, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that again happen for a ban. Or if there was a ban such as you mentioned, Karma with Kappa XO, or Zyx had an excellent performance the last 2 times that he played on Kha'Zix, so I wouldn't be surprised if we actually saw Kha'Zix banned specifically against Zyx here, which part of it's also, I can never say with 100% guarantee what is going to be banned and what is going to be picked, because it is a new patch. It's the first time that these teams are going to be playing on this new patch, which a lot of things have been changed. Specifically, in the next thing I want to talk about is going to be the masteries.
Yeah, with that new mastery, there has been a change on the Bond of Stone. Now it is Stoneborn's Pact, and with that new change, whenever you apply a debuff or slow some sort of movement impairing ability, whoever auto attacks that person who is impaired gets a little healing from that passive. So allows a lot of these tank supports to come through, along with that 5% bonus and in health as well. So, it is favored towards those tankier supports such as the Alistar, the Brahms, the Tom Kinches as well. But, we have been seeing, there's still a favor of those Karmas, of those Namis, and of those Lulus as well, still rising in priority. So, if we do see these kind of tankier supports, it is going to be favored towards the team composition itself. So, I can't wait to see how well these teams can utilize it if they want to, or if not, that we're going to be seeing the standard, the range supports, the Karma, the Namis, and the losers, maybe in the mouse hearts as well, since it does force the enemy to build the QSS very, very early. But yeah, like you said it, man, that new mastery possibly going to be changing some things going forward. And I want to see what support is going to be manning up and going forward and risking their team composition, risking the mastery, risking that lane tempo in the bottom lane specifically for that. And can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and with you mentioning with Storeborn Impacts, a lot of people have actually been misinterpreting it as a charge system where it's whoever gets the first auto against the person who was slowed or impaired in some other way in their movements gets all the healing. Actually, it's a permanent debuff that stays for 4 seconds to where anyone who auto attacks within that 4-second time frame will get the healing over 2-second effect. It was something I only discovered recently because I also thought it was a charge type system. When no, it actually means that if you slow one person in team fights, such as the tank of the enemy team, their front line, and all of your allies are autoing that person, then you're healing every single person on your team, which makes it so that in team fights, the ability is incredibly powerful and you can get team-wide healing as long as you are in a coordinated setting where you can focus whoever is currently rooted, slowed, or stunned.
Yeah, it is a mastery here. We haven't seen that power of it come through in competitive play just yet. It still has to be a little bit of experimenting in the bottom lane. Maybe if you want to go for like possibly a hybrid carry with maybe a Braum, if you're gonna go for a Jinx Braum or something of that kind of sort, possibly an Astra as well, if you just want that melee support for that team fight and for that team composition. We can't see the ability and can't see the pros on it, but still have those Karmas there, still see the Lulus. Lulu has been rising up in priority in the support pool, so I want to see who, if a Kappa EXO can play it out, or maybe even the support on the UMD chicken chases too. And it's going to be pretty exciting. I want to see what they can do. I want to see these bottom lanes change. But the main thing the main thing I want to ask here is, the mid lane changes. We did see a nerf on Rise. We did see those gigantic nerfs on LeBlanc. So LeBlanc isn't that godlike assassin anymore. It's not that heavily prioritized in the pick and ban system, and a lot of millionaires have even dismissed it as a possible champion. Now, you see the rise of the Echo, you see the rises of these Zeds and Talons as well, and then maybe in some unconventional picks like the Talia or the Aurelian Sol. What's your read on the mid lane so far?
Well, when it comes to the mid lane, the biggest thing I can see is going to be a rise in both assassins and control mages. Control mages just because they are very good picks against the divers and the assassins. They can completely control wave, and they can give a lot of threats to people who want to try and dive into the back line or the front line, depending on wherever you want to place your abilities, which is where Talia comes in. There's a lot of mobility right now in the current meta. As you have been saying, with a lot of champions that are getting picked, even in the bot lane, we're seeing people like Lucian and Ezreal being high tier picks. And with that mobility, Talia is incredibly powerful against that, simply because she can zone people off with her E, she can knock people aside with her with her W, and her ultimate alone can set up an entire fight to be structured in a single zone. Meanwhile, when you were saying about Zed and Talon, they are very quick to kill people. They are very roam heavy, which right now roaming has been a complete niche for the mid lane right now. While yes, jungle is also seen as the main person to help other lanes snowball ahead, we'll oftentimes see the mid laner take along with the jungler just to make that numbers advantage even higher to wherever the gank is occurring.
Yeah, speaking of Talia's, we have seen, I've heard a lot of stories in the amateur scene, the collegiate scene, of Hollywood dominating on this champion. That is his one trick pony. He's shown a lot of skill. I want to see if these other mid laners pick it up on this Talia pick. I have seen, a Cat in the Hat, Ernst previously Cat in the Hat, try it out on stream as well. So, a lot of these high tier mid laners are slowly relearning Talia. And I want to see maybe those hours have come through as well. Maybe those Synders are still there too, and the Orianas, of course. But yeah, this mid lane is pretty much, at the end of the day, now, because it's such a level playing field, except maybe essentially Rise being the most broken champion in the game, it's pretty much what you want to design for in regards to the team composition. Of course, blue side, you do have that counter pick against you, since red side does have that available for them. You're more incentivized to pick a safer mid lane, or pick that control mid lane mage, such as the Orianas and the Victors, while the red side, you are able to counter pick that with the possible assassins, like you said, the Echoes, the Talons, the Zeds, maybe even those Aries as well, if those matchups are favorable for them. And I got to see what they can do, especially when it comes to the 6 game ban versus the 10 game ban, which I'm fairly used to. I want to see if they can adapt. I want to see if they can try and, maybe if not even, maybe that then just leave all these mid laners up, just because there's so much variety and versatility in this mid lane pool. I just want to see what they can do here.
Yeah, and speaking of when you said that 6 ban and 10 ban system, that is actually something we're considering implementing as soon as Riot does within to the custom games type of series, or potentially we could also implement the system within the playoffs or next split. We're going to be discussing with the other teams what they would prefer, as well as other people within the organization to see what we can even pull off. But one thing that I want to touch upon that you didn't mention back in your big rant was Ari. Now, we've seen some rise with her in the competitive scene. She still has an incredibly high win rate in solo queue. A lot of this is because she is that kind of in between of assassin and control mage, because she has an immense amount of wave clear. She has enough mobility to really control the fight wherever she wants, and she has enough single target damage to also take down a person if she is ahead enough, but she is not a strong enough assassin to take someone out if she is even. It all depends on how much she can snowball and whether or not she can play well from behind using her mobility and utility to her advantage.
Yeah, but you have seen the competitive scene how good Ari is if she is ahead. You've seen, the debut of Piglet on that Ari in his first week as well, to play it at an incredible efficiency, finding those flanks, finding those charm targets, and pretty much bullying and just dominating the lane with that Ari. So we do know what happens when an Ari does get ahead, and we also have seen what happens when an Ari does get behind, and it is not as impactful if that happens. But yeah, like you said, Ari is someone who counters the Oriana, can go into Victor just fine, goes pretty well into these, blue side control mages, but also offers that AP and also offers a little bit of that zoning and that controlling kind of esque playstyle as well. But yeah, Ari has been coming through in both scenes, in the amateur and the collegiate, and also in these kind of tournaments as well. But gotta see what they can do. And it looks like we're just setting up the lobby now. People are still getting in. We're about to get started here around 7 o'clock, and I'm super excited to see these guys. I haven't been on MNLCS since last year, since last season, as a coach for the University of Minnesota Wombats, and now they're playing in the Big Ten, which is shout outs to them trying to compete on the big leads in the collegiate scene. But give me like a rundown. How's the scene so far in Minnesota LCS, Fen?
Honestly, it's been very exciting to watch. A lot of the games have been kind of kill heavy, but at the same time, teams are starting to get far more objective focused than they were before. At the start of the weeks, we would always see people go for the kills that didn't really follow up with anything to gain from it. It would just be a kill simply to get a kill, or because someone felt there was a threat and wanted to get rid of it in order to make themselves feel safer within the lane. But now we will see people group up and go for these priority picks against people to try and secure things such as a dragon or a tower, or even stuff as simple as blue buff or red buff. While seeming small, it is still an objective they are focusing for, and you really have to give it to the teams. Their ability to communicate with each other, focus very heavily onto what they need to get done, has improved drastically over the last few weeks. And we've even seen some of the teams that only joined us just this season having massive amounts of power displayed within their games, such as the MNSU Mavericks. However, we are now getting into Champion Select for the Chicken Chasers versus the Dads.
Yeah, and I'm excited here. I want to see what the Chicken Chasers want to ban in the first game, and look at that. There's the Ari ban right off the bat. Probably trying to stop Nerf Akali, please, possibly, if that is this champion. And we have talked about that Ari, but look at that, a Scion ban getting answered right back. We haven't even touched about Scion so far, but how do you think in the tank matchups so far?
Now, for that Scion ban, that is purely a pick ban, or sorry, I can't think of a targeted ban against OloXO, who has been known for playing his Scion whenever it is open. He is fairly strong with the champion, using the very heavy wave clear tools that Scion offers, as well as the very long range engage with his onslaughts, being able to start team fights and continue them. And meanwhile, we can also see an Ivor ban and a Victor ban coming in from both sides. What do you make of that?
Ivor ban has been coming up. I'm not too sure why they would ban it though. On the blue side, you usually maybe they're just afraid of it, or if they're not planning to play the Graves as a first rotation, maybe they want to try and play something else. The Victor ban itself, it is a strong control mage. It is a fine blind pick. Maybe they're just trying to remove the blue side blind pickable control mages away from them. So it is a fine ban. I would rather see something else, maybe a rise here. But as you can see, here comes the supports, the Karma and the Thresh here. And look at that, the first pick raise going in for the Chicken Chasers.
And then exactly as you mentioned, how if they're banning the Iron the signals, they want to go for a heavy jungler pick instead that they don't have to worry about being countered with. So they go for the Graves, and meanwhile we can see that the dads are hovering both a
Ooh.
Lulu and Kog'Maw, which, well, that is going to be locked in. That is quite interesting, just because Lulu Kog'Maw, they're a very powerful dual lane when together. Lulu can enable the Kog'Maw to get very high amounts of attack speed and peel so heavily for him using her wild growth and her shield in order to make so that Kog'Maw will just simply never die. But one of the things that Kog'Maw has been known for is on-hit effects and being able to have a very powerful usage of them. And one of his key items, Blade of the Ruined King, was changed just this patch to include a lot more attack damage and less attack speed. So I'm wondering how that's going to work out.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
that's a really early pick for that Kog'Maw and Lulu, like you said. But Chicken Chase, they're going to be answering their bottom lane with that Brand and with that Lucian. It could be a Brand mid for boosted 420. We haven't seen that Brand mid a lot. We have seen in the bottom side, but that is a punishing bot lane. That is a pushing bot lane, and that signifies to devs that they want to kill you. They want to try and fight you in that bottom lane. They're trying to snowball that Lucian and that Brand as quick as they can. But as you can see here, that Nunu getting hovered in. It looks like it might just be a protect the 80 carry comp, high executional comp, but if it does get that late game, it is pretty strong here. We have seen Nunu coming through in the jungle in solo queue with that Stoneborn Pact, and I got to see if Cripple can utilize this Nunu effectively. But the main thing is that it is into a Graves. Clear speed, I'm not too sure specifically, just because we haven't seen a lot of Nunu come into play, but it is a decent pick, especially when you have double 80 carries on the enemy side. When it does hit that late game, you can stop one of them from auto attacking that quickly, and also the Syndra blind pick as well. Since the Syndra is getting picked so early, though, I would assume that Chicken Chasers would probably go for maybe that Echo as a counter pick, or maybe even a Zed as well. Gotta see what they can do here.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Echo, because we've seen Boosted have a very strong Echo performance before, but it looks like they're hovering Yasuo instead. Meanwhile, we can see that, as you mentioned before, with the Brand Lucian, is it going to be a very kill-heavy bot lane? It's also going to be a very wave-clear-heavy bot lane. It's going to be shoving the bot's wave directly into the tower, making it much harder for Kakarino to try and farm on the Kog'Maw. But it looks like a Yasuo and a Wukong is going to be picked up. There's going to be a lot of knock-up and follow-up with that team composition. So it looks like they're going for a very heavy all-in system. But here's the issue. Unless if Gavin97 can get very fed on this Brand, that is a full 80 comp with a Poppy and a Nunu. So they're going to have a lot of trouble trying to burn through those two tanks on the side of the dads. And I really want to know what is going on through the minds of the Chicken Chasers to think of what they can do to stop this. Perhaps a Black Cleaver on Wukong and Graves. He also already gets the 50% bonus armor penetration when he has his ultimate up. And Lucian also synergizes decently with Black Cleaver and Lethality items, so maybe that's their idea?
I'm honestly not too sure. The main thing that, if you look at this, is that remember that Lethality did get nerfed on Yomi's and of Edge of Night, so you do see less impact from it. But the main thing you have to look here is that first off, how Chicken Chasers are ranked, they have a time. They're gonna have a time to go against, because eventually what's gonna happen is that four of them are all AD. Gavin, unless he wants to invest into the ability power and not invest in support items, will be won't be as impactful in the later stages of the game. And the main thing is that you have a lot of this AD, you have a lot of these things, but then there's a Poppy. You could just stack Thormail, you have a Nunu as well. You have a double tank composition, which they can thrive under. They can just soak up all that damage. As long as they don't get to that Syndra or that Kog'Maw, it's just fine. And the main thing is that their only denial from Syndra is that Yasuo win wall, right? If Yasuo doesn't manage to win wall that ultimate, she can nuke out the Wukong, she can nuke out the Graves and the Lucian, unless they want to build Hex Drinker as well. And now you have a Kog'Maw. So the main thing is that if you look at the early game coming in over to the Chicken Chasers, they have a really strong early game. Wukong to Poppy, that's not a really good match for the Wukong as well, though. It's a blind pick. If you're playing a fighter into a tank, you need to snowball extremely early. But then things that you have a Graves as well. If Wukong and Graves can manage to get the early game kill on that top lane, you could see OLXO X Olo,
OLOXO.
yeah,
OLOXO.
Olo Exo, got it. Olo Exo trying to snowball this top lane, but the risky thing is that this mid lane Yasuo is a counter purchase syndrome. We have seen it before. We have seen if a Yasuo is good, they can play this matchup really, really cleanly. It's just a lot of risk going over to the chicken chasers. If it works, they're going to be dominant for the first 20 minutes. But after that 20, 25, 30 minutes or so, you could see Dad's composition start turning on and start, punishing him as if they don't get to that Cogma or Syndra, it's going to be really, really devastating.
Yeah, and there's gonna be the Poppy just saying there with her steadfast presence, we don't have to stop any type of engage that they have because the main form of engage is gonna be the dash from either Wukong or Yasuo trying to go in and get that initial knockup, which Poppy can just completely negate that,
Mm-hmm.
as well as having her Keeper's Verdict able to knock away whatever amount of the Chicken Chasers team that she wants. It really is a part of this whole timer system, as you mentioned. It's gonna be roughly the 25-minute mark is what my estimate would be, as well as it's going to be hard to try and control the objectives that you want to secure your mid to late game on the side of the chicken chasers because you are against a Nunu. And if you try and
Mm-hmm.
sneak a dragon or if you try and rush a Baron against a Nunu, you are playing a very risky game right there just because he has his consume, he has the smite that can do upwards of 2,000 true damage come late game. And even early on, if he decides to max out his consume just to secure early objectives, not usually the best idea. Usually you see the snowball being maxed out first on Nunu, but either way, it all depends on the playstyle you want to go for.
Yeah, like I said, that Nunu super strong objective control. The wave clear, the clear speed, it is pretty well. It is pretty good. Main thing is that he can't really counter jungle. He has to play off his winning lanes. But the main thing I would have to admit for Dads is that they can have losing lanes. If Poppy's probably the only winning lane in this matchup in regards to the lane composition, right? You have that Poppy, you can deny the Wukong dash, you can deny the Graves as well in regards to the 1v2, but in the mid lane it's risky, it's super risky, it's super hard to see what's going to happen. And with that, we want to see if Nunu can thrive when his lanes are losing. Mid and bot side, it is risky. Mid lane is going to be a skill matchup depending on how good the Yasuo is. Bot lane, Lucian and Brand is going to have that strong push advantage into the Kog'Maw, and that Lulu and can also possibly threaten them with the amount of damage that they have innately. But yeah, Nunu, comparing the jungle matchup so far, if Nunu is able to play off his strong side, if Poppy is able to survive as well, then he is able to counter jungle. But with Graves, he has a strong bottom lane. He has a strong 3v3 on the bot side as well, and that's going to be super super hard if these matchups go through. But we're going into loading screen. We'll be doing just fine here, and let's take a look at the Summoner Masteries. Yep, we have that Stoneborn Pact on that Nunu, going to be offering those heal sustains for the Syndra and that Kog'Maw specifically.
We also see that Lulu is going for more of a poker build, having the Thunderlord's Decree instead of Windspeaker's Blessing, which would add a lot more appeal to Kog'Maw if it was Windspeaker's, but it looks like instead they want to go for a potential chance to win lane by going for a more poke heavy build. That way they can try and poke out the Brand, poke out the Lucian, because they do have absolutely no sustain within their setup at all. So there's no real answer to a poke that both the Kog'Maw and Lulu could offer, especially past level 6, because the range of their poke is going to be much further than the bot lane of the Chicken Chasers. And one item I'm surprised you didn't mention before when you're talking about potential Poppy builds is Frozen Hearts, just because they have 3 auto attack reliant champions. They have Graves, Lucian, and Yasuo. And if you can lower their attack speed all by simply being near them, there's going to be a massive impact for the side of the dads.
Yeah, Frozen Heart offering that 20% attack speed reduction and also a cooldown as well, along with that armor, mana as well for Snow Cane. And even Cripple can also pick up the Frozen Heart too, right? So you have these 2 beefy tanks that you have to try and get through in order to do that, but looking like Chicken Chasers might try and do this little level 1 cheese. I'm surprised that there's not going to be a Raptor strike going in for Zyx. Usually you do see those Raptor strikes going in. They're going to be checking that jungle here.
They could still be going for Raptor Star. It's just that they may be trying to look for whatever early symbol or potential is possible. Just because you did mention earlier, and I do completely agree with you on it, that there is that timer. We've been mentioning it. We can drop it at this point, but what about simple win conditions for both of these teams? We have it where the early game and overall winning each lane is the main win condition for the Chicken Chasers. Meanwhile, obviously the opposite end of things for the dads is going to be simply stalling out as long as possible to make it so that they can scale, Or I'd argue that if they can focus attention towards his top lane, have Nerfakali please, and Cripple can just go out and help Snowcane and simply snowball him, make it so we have early armor stacking, that would be enough of a snowball to secure themselves the victory for the game.
Yeah, if it does hit the late game, I would give props to the Chicken Chase for possibly starting at 1-3-1 composition. You know, you have the Wukong on the top side is going to be answered by the Poppy, of course. But then if you send Yasuo to a side lane later on, most likely that Yasuo should be able to win against the Syndra as long as that Yasuo plays out the Scare of the Week. But first off, these level 1s are really, really seeing no teams are starting that Raptor start. You know, we have seen a lot of people are starting that Raptor start in this new patch, especially with Graves and especially with Nunu. And I'm surprised that both teams are going to be taking advantage of it. It looks like they're just going to be matching clear times roughly. Well, yeah, Raptor starts, huge way of getting into the enemy jungle, getting a quicker start as well, because the small Raptors give you that level 2. I'm just surprised that, especially on a Graves, as Zayax not even doing it, or not even attempting it. But look at that, though. That level 2 on the bot side going to be in favor of the Chicken Chasers, Quincy Adams and Gavin, offering a decent amount of support there. And lanes are pretty even.
Meanwhile, we can see that there is a full clear going on with Zayax in his own bot side jungle. Meanwhile, Cripple decides to go from blue to wolves directly to red, and it's not coming towards top side, looking for potential gank. There are no wards that are going to be spying him, so he will be able to come on. He has the snowball ready. Poppy does have a steadfast presence as well.
Snowcast is up, though, has to burn that flash. He's gonna have to roll it, but the first blood goes through. Cripple is trying to claim it. It does have that flash up. Olexo is gonna make it out. Cripple probably has to flash out for it as well. No, looks like he will not, and he's gonna get a first blood. Backs out just fine. And Cripple going, man, Snowcane and Cripple mistimed synergy in that top lane gank.
Yeah, it's gonna be a flash for flash in the top lane, as well as a first blood going over to OloXO on the Wukong. Now, this is part of that whole early snowballing. Winning the lane, as we mentioned, is going to be the main type of winning objective that they have for the Chicken Chasers. Meanwhile, we can see that Graves is still simply farming up his own jungle. He did the full topside clear, went over, took blue buff, and is now taking the Gromp. There's a little bit of aggression coming in from Boosted, taking a stun from Nerfakali, please. A little bit of damage as well. He does have his passes up, so that the next trade will be more in his favor. Both summoners are still up for the mid lane, and not really sure what the teams are looking to have happen right now. It seems like everything is going to be a quiet farm fest with a bit of a zoning coming from the bot lane, which, as we mentioned, they simply need to delay this Kog'Maw from scaling up as much as possible.
Yeah, look at that, though. Gavin's going to go for that trade. Does land that stun, but they are just going to back off peacefully. So when it comes to going back to the other stages of that gank, right? First off, that's a huge victory to Chicken Chasers, because the main thing is that Cripple wasted a lot of time in that gank. A lot of Zayax just free farm it up. And look at that, the mid side might be coming for a gank. Zayax checking it out. Boosted Metal activates that exhaust, comes in, throws out the shotgun bullet. Nerfakali's gonna go for that stun, but looks like the gank is gonna be delayed while action is happening in that top side. And Flash did get forced by Nerfakali, trade for that exhaust, so overall victory over to the Chicken Chasers.
Yeah, and one thing I actually have not noticed at all yet is Rhino started boots and 4 pots.
Yeah, he did. He just wants to survive that lane.
Yeah, no, part of that is going to be dodging the skill shots from Brand, and it is something that we saw happen over in the Korean scene just this weekend. Meanwhile, he's taking a lot of damage from the pass to be able to kill him.
Gavin walking a little bit too far, forcing that flash. Flash did get traded for Gavin, and a heal to get one from Rhino, so trade did go over towards Dads, but Exo's going to take a tower shot. Snowcane does have that advantage. Oh, can he get it? The corrupting potion isn't going to take him down, and Exo is going to be walking out just fine.
However, Snowcane will be able to shove out the lane and potentially force a teleport coming from an OLXO, because neither of the junglers are there to try and hold the lane. So if Snowcane decides to shove it in, yes, there is a teleport from OLXO, which means that teleport advantage is now on the side of Dads, making it a very swing in power towards their favor. Meanwhile, we can see Nerfakali please coming to the spot lane.
Yeah, look at this rotation. Nerfakali is trying to go for it, throws out that stun. Quincy Adams is going to get stunned out. Stun Norse proc is going to go through. Stun does miss. Kappa Exo is going to land the slow, and man, it could have been a bot to top 4-man die, because Snowcane did have that teleport. A little bit of miscommunication. Could have been a possible setup too. As you see here, Nerfakali please did have that ward for that TP setup, but looks like not even going to blow it. Major Summoners is going to show up, say hi to him real quick, and he's going to back off.
Big thing with the whole possible teleport advantage right there is the fact that there were no wards set up to get it, so Snowcane could be deep into the tower, as well as he was already back against LOXO in that time, so if he wanted to try and teleport down, he would have had to back off, which would make it a big blaring signal to the chicken chasers to simply back off much earlier than Syndra would have shown. So I don't really think it would have been pulled off decently. At most, it would have just made them back off faster and let Nerfakali please just head back towards mid lane a few seconds sooner. But looking towards that mid lane matchup, we can now see that Boosted has picked up the Hex Drinker, meaning that he will be able to win the trades far more favorably than before. And we could see some potential dives or higher amounts of aggression coming from the chicken chasers towards this mid lane.
Yeah, gotta get close to Cripple though, but action is on the bot side, so not a lot of action actually, just gonna be a little bit of pokes here. But going into the jungle, right? When you mentioned that Cripple did go for that top lane earlier on, you know, we should have seen some punish from Zyggs, but actually, if you look at the gold here, it's pretty darn similar. Actually, Zyggs has that advantage, so you know, it's surprising that Cripple, even though that top lane gank was a gigantic misplay, he is recovering pretty well. The jungle matchup is pretty similar, 41-38, but the gold lead is still here. But Cripple coming for that top lane gank, activates a Cyclone. Cripple doesn't have a lot of mana though. Does he have enough for that snowball he's trying to? But looks like he does not. He's just gonna go say hi, burn out that ultimate, clear out the control ward, and just gonna keep Snowcane alive. Or is he? Goes in for that Q. Extremely low, and the Snowcane has to offer this some respect here.
Yeah, it's potentially going to be a teleport coming from Snowcane now, so it will be a double teleport trade-off. And Alexos will be coming back just about 2.5 minutes sooner than Snowcane's, which means that
for the dragon.
Oh, it's going to be an Infernal Dragon going over towards the side of Chicken Chasers. It's actually going to be very huge for them. As we mentioned, they need to snowball, they need to try and get their lead cemented as soon as possible. And adding Infernal Dragon to that is going to help a lot in that case, especially since every single person on their team is a heavy damage dealer.
Yeah, smart call coming in from the chicken chase. You know, you see the new on the top side. The call was to go for Dragon. Bot lane already had Temple already, so they can easily react to it if a fight were to break out. You know, Boosted did have control of the mid lane too, so it's a really smart call. Mid lane and bot lane had that Temple to help out. You can already see the amount of vision that they dedicated for that Dragon early on. And overall, big victory for chicken chasers. They are playing this early game fairly well, but they have to speed up this Temple really quickly. It's already 8 minutes in, and not a lot of pressure going over for OLXO. 43-45 has that kill, but he's not really pushing it. Boosted, getting a lot of damage from Nerfakali, trying to go for that ultimate, throws it out. The wind wall's going to deny it as much, but the slow's coming through. Hex Drinker does get propped out. Boosted getting super low, but looks like he's going to make it out just fine.
Yeah, he didn't even have to burn a single summoner too. He only had to use a wind wall to block the entire ultimate from Nerfakali, please, which one thing that could have been done is to try and bait it out. You could... Some people will mistake Syndra's auto-attack animation for the ultimate to start up, and if she simply canceled her auto-attack animation enough, it could have tried to trick Boosted into it. That way she could still keep her ultimate. However, we can see that's a fairly short cooldown already. It's going to be up in just about 40 more seconds, I'd say. And we can see that actually the entire game is fairly close between both teams. The difference in gold is only 300, despite the first blood going over towards Chicken Chasers as well as getting that first dragon. There's not even a big farm difference between any of the lanes, except for mid lane in the favor of Dads.
Yeah, that is a really big favor. It is going to help out that Syndra, but, you know, Boosted 420 is going to be okay during the later on stages, as long as he can win wall the unleashed power from Nerfakali, please. But bot lane's going to be brawling out just a little bit here. Boosted going in pretty aggressive without his jungler being around. Nerfakali trying to respect it out, does have that. Third Frog's trying to go for that knockup, but the exhaust comes through. Cripple is here for the save, activates the absolute zero. Is he going to take it out? The exhaust comes through. Boosted is 420 trying to go for it, but the ultimate from Zyggs is going to claim that kill. Cripple's going to take it as well. Jungler's going to be trading 1-for-1, but OLXO barely surviving from Snowkin and that heroic charge. But Gavin, forcing the bot side fight here. Kakarino's going to get a little shot up from it, but the Whimsy's going to cancel out Quincy Adams' ultimate as well. So a lot of trades going from summer spells, ultimates being blown back and forth. But man, 1-for-1 trade in the mid side. Junglers did claim both kills, so I want to see what they can do to snowball this out.
Yeah, that's what you're saying about we are finally seeing some more aggression within the teams, trying to go for these kills, trying to go for those big plays to start up the snowball. We saw this X was looking towards the bot lane, thinking about potential kill. However, Kappa XO still had the rampant or the wild growth, and there was still a heal on Kakarino, so there was no guarantee that the kill could even happen. They are lacking in utility down in this bot lane, so there's not even anything to lock up Kakarino, which is something that we actually didn't really mention. The only thing to actually lock up this Kog'Maw to stop him from being able to deal a ton of damage is gonna be the ultimate from Wukong as well as any knockups from Yasuo. Other than that, the best they could do is either burst him down really fast or utilize exhaust.
Yeah, pretty much, but as you can see, Zyx is hovering on that bottom side. Nerf and Booster are going for the trades, does have that third proc of the Steel Tempest, but isn't going to land. CS is still in favor for Nerf plays those, so he is surviving pretty well. Granted, boosted 420, he does have that lane tempo, but this is a really poor time of regression. Actually, Zyx is around the corner. Actually, it's Gavin with the rotation, going out for the Q, and he is going to land, taking a turret shot, but bot side is able to grab pressure off this. Hopefully, Nerf plays getting a lot of attention in this mid lane.
Yeah, and actually, earlier we mentioned how Kapakazo took the Thunderlords to create, signaling that he'd want to go for a more poke-heavy lane rather than peel-heavy, and he is currently playing to that style, where he is constantly harassing Quincy M's, constantly harassing Gavin97, and forcing them away from the farm, which is really what's been able to keep Kakarino on equal level farm. Meanwhile, if you see the peel-heavy support of Lulu, at most it would simply mitigate some of the damage, but not really add pressure to the lane as a poke Lulu allows.
Yeah, it's 12 minutes in now, so speaking of that, I want to see some more aggression. Olexo doing a decent job just hammering the turret, but this is where you need Zyx to literally just come to a wave, pressure the wave with their team, and just try and get all the way up to the turret. And we don't really see that coming in on Zyx. You know, Graves is a really strong, turret taker with his bullets and with those pellets, but I'm not seeing Zyx. You know, he's wasting a lot of time in this bottom lane. Looks like they're going to try and force, though. Kukaround is going to get forced up. The stuns coming through. Kukaround is going to get taken out by the collateral damage. Kapux XL can't save him anymore. And the Catherine Surprise is going to be traded back. And it looks like at bot side, they should be able to push this tempo if they want to. But with 420, doing some trades in the mid lane here. Does block the Scatter of the Weak, so he's going to be just fine on that, on the trade. And right here, you see here, bot side, they're trying to grab that bottom side.
Yeah, and you can actually see that Zyx is going into Cripple's jungle, trying to shove him away, make it so that they have an easy access to this tower. Meanwhile, they forgot that Lulu is still there, being able to defend it, and Cripple is trying to just hide his presence, and right there,
Gavin activates that triple proc. The Absolute Zero is going to come through Gavin. Can he survive? Looks like Cripple can take him out. Zyx and Cripple, now Zyx and Gavin are going to be caught out in the jungle. A little bit of mistake, not respecting Kakarino's back timings and the death timers, if you will, coming into the jungle. And just kind of disrespect right there. Quincy Adams wasn't a part of that rotation. Boosted 420 wasn't even a part of that play as well. So honestly, mistake right there. You just go in there, get the vision back out. There's no need to stay in there, but they do, and they're going to get punished for it.
Exactly. When you try and go for those vision attempts, you have to simply back out the moment you have it, because overstaying like that is always risky, especially since you are in the side of the jungle that belongs to the dads. And meanwhile, now that Zyx is dead, they have free reign over this Ocean Dragon, which an Ocean Dragon for a Syndra and a Kog'Maw is going to be massive. They're both mana-hungry champions who love to spam their abilities, and allowing them to have that out-of-champion combat mana regeneration is going to do wonders in terms of wave control and sustaining the lane to let them get as much farm as possible.
Yeah, and look at that. Kukaround did pick up that Gwintu's Rage Blade. He's going to be utilizing those on-hit effects and that attack speed bonus as well. But Chicken Chasers are going to try and come and possibly try and start a fight in this bot side again, trying to nullify Kukaround, but he did claim a kill. Gold lead is 4,700 to 5,100 on the 80 carry. So even though that kill did go over, Kukarano is still ahead, and that's going to be really bad time for the Chicken Chasers if it does manage to hit the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, what we can see is that there's actually 3 members from each team hovering over this bot lane right now, looking to force a play and bait them in, because we have Cripple on the side waiting to counter engage. And they are simply tempting fate right now with the Chicken Chasers, saying, try and engage on us. We have someone waiting in the back line.
I don't like this move coming in from the Chicken Chasers. You have a Grave. You have a Wukong now who has that Black Cleaver, that first item spike, and he's slowly bullying out Snowcane. So honestly, Zyx, you should just come to the top side, try and do it. But look at that, OLXO and Snowcane gonna be doing it out here. Oh, does miss that hammer smash, and he's gonna be just fine. But honestly, try and dedicate time as a jungler to your winning lanes. OLXO did have that tempo early on, did chunk out Snowcane as well. Or even the mid lane, try and do it. But boosted 420, Gonna be fighting it out here. Looks like it's gonna be a little bit trace, but bot side. Zax is on bot side. TP is gonna get blown, but Conquer Rhino's gonna blow him right in the face with those void ooze, and Gavin has to try and retreat. Same with Quincy Adams. Snow Cane does burn that TP though, but look at that. OLXL is gonna be answering back on that TP, trying to get that top lane push here. Snow Cane trying to force it out possibly, and this is gonna be a pretty hard trade. Let's see who's gonna get that first blood turret.
I feel like Cripple is going to be able to defend the top turret. Meanwhile, Quincy Adams and Gavin can easily defend this bot turret. So actually, I don't suspect a first blood turret is going to be happening anytime soon, just because there are people there to respectively defend it. I want to actually look back at the team fight and see what went wrong. Oh, Ramon all in.
420 is trying to go in. Kelly has to force that flash boosted. 420 is going to activate the Steel Tempest and take him down as well. But Quincy Adams just by himself in the turret. The exhaust goes through. He can't survive by himself. He's going to go down as well. 4 to 5, 25k to 20, 25. But look at that 3-man on the bot side. First blood turret's going to be going over to Dads.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to... No, it's not going down yet. They're still trying to force it. There is Gavin 87 there trying to wave clear it out. He does have a fair bit amount of ability power right now, so he could take it and save the tower. Meanwhile, there's not enough minions for Boosted to get this just yet.
He might want to sacrifice himself. Can he do it? He looks like he will. First blood is going to go down, and also OLXL probably going to try to take this top side as well. He might have to sacrifice his life, but it looks like he's going to be possibly helping out the team. It did get picked by Cripple though, so he's going to be doing a decent amount of 80 damage to the flash. Auto smack in the face on the monkey is going to take him down. You know, but 2 trades for 1 kill. Pretty good trade going over for the Chicken Chasers.
Yeah, and despite what you said about the Dads looking like they're going to have the first blood turret over in the bot lane, it actually went over towards Chicken Chasers with 2 turrets going down both in the top of the mid lane. And looking back at this full AD composition that Chicken Chasers have built, one thing we have forgotten to mention is the extreme rise in popularity of Ninja Tabai. Being a very powerful item, reducing 12% damage from basic attacks, which again, as we mentioned before, are 3 sources of damage that the carries of the Chicken Chasers will rely upon.
Yep.
And
so even though they got the 2 kills, right? Their goal really isn't that much, and Cucurano and Catbug is going to try and answer this down. Looks like they will be, so it does free up the cog on lane 2. So gonna see how it's gonna happen. Snow Cane and Boosted are gonna be doing it on the mid lane. Does have that Phantom Dancer already built up. Activates the last breath. Triple is here for the show up here. The knockback into the wall. Boosted 420 is gonna be on a 1v2. Can he survive? He's trying to go for a Snow Cane's gonna be super low. Boosted Cane, can he do it? But no, the hammer smash and the flash is gonna take him out. He's gonna survive to live another day.
That was a very close call right there. End up having a bit of survival issues because, as we mentioned before, Yasuo does have that 50% bonus armor penetration. Meanwhile, the Golly, please, onto Zayax.
You just don't do that, Nervicali. You can't just unleash the power onto Zayax. He's just trying to clear the way, man. Give him a break here. But a lot of action coming here. Gavin is going to be caught out with Cripple, with that Snowball, and with that Glitter Lance. Nervicali plays, barely misses the Scout of the Week. And Gavin's going to make it out just fine, but Quincy Adams comes with the culling. Cripple's pretty low, though. He's going to go for that dash. Can he do it? Has a lot of health. Catbug's going to be sacrificing himself, possibly going for it, but Quincy Adams is pretty low. The stun is going to land here. Gavin doesn't have a lot of spell rotations coming up. Here comes Kakarano, though, trying to activate the Void Ooze. And Quincy Adams, he's going to get Glitter Lance, and he's going to make it out, but OLXO comes with a flank, gets a knock up on 2. Can he get Nervicali? The second one is going to Cripple, and OLXO is going to be duking out. 1 for 2 over here. Kakarano's going to get stunned up. He's going to get pretty low. Gavin out of mana, though. Can Kakarano turn around? He has it. He has it damage. And the flash is going to be tossed into the face. Kakarano flashes the emblem. Boosted Boards when he's trying to chase it. He wants revenge. He's super blood hungry. But Cripple's on the other side. Looks like he's going to sacrifice his teammate. No, just Ninja Tabby here. The exhaust comes out. The shutdown goes big. And oh man, how many trades here? 1, 2, 3? 3 for 2 trades.
3 for 3, actually, because early on, Catbug XO died really early, and there was enough time in that fight to have a full respawn.
Yeah, but the fight is going on. It's over for the blue buff. Boosted 420 is trying to go for a Cripple. Is going to get some assistance from his spell support, Lulu. And looks like it's going to be just fine, but Snow Cane on the flank, though. Here comes Zyx with that damage, but Boost is going to go down, too, so more action coming through. This is not going to be looking good for Chicken Chasers overall, though, as they have full AD comp, and their sights are on the Dragon.
Yeah, and with this control of the Dragon, they should be able to capture. It's only an ocean or a Wind Dragon, which is actually going to be doing a lot of wonders for this team, just because, as you mentioned before, the Chicken Chasers have a 1-3-1 competition innately within themselves, and having the Wind Dragon is going to be able to allow you to keep up with their attempts to rotate, with their attempts to split push, by having Snow King have faster off-combat movement speed to follow whoever goes to what side lane.
Yeah, now there's gonna be should be a reset for the dads. Going to be reallocating their lanes based on the objective that they want to set up for. They still have that mid T1 and that top T1 as well. So I'm going to be expecting those turrets to go down fairly soon here. The comp is starting to ramp up. As you can see, Kakarino does have that Hurricane and that Gwinsu's Rage Blade. So he's doing a decent amount of damage into these, melee range, these low range composition. You have the Wukong and Yasuo as melee. The Graves and the Lucian are also fairly low range as well. So Kakarino, he's probably onto a good start. If he doesn't get blown up in one time in a quick rotation from OLXO and also from Zyx, they're gonna be looking pretty strong for the dads.
Yeah, and this is actually the first time that we are seeing a gold lead on. Never mind, it literally just ended, but there was a slight gold lead by about 400 gold on the side of the dads, which was quickly taken back up because there were waves crashing towards the side of the chicken chasers for them to collect, which allows them to catch back up. And actually, the gold lead is so close that it's just simply being passed back and forth based on farm.
Yeah, this is a pretty risky rotation coming in from Chicken Chase. They didn't have the proper, but Snow King has activated the ultimate. It's going to deny from the ult. And they're going to be just fine here with boosted. 420 is going to be fighting on a 1v2. And oh man, a pause right in the middle of the action. Disappointing.
Wonder what this pause is all about. Not really sure what happened. Gonna try and look and see if there's anything said in all chats. I don't. Oh, apparently someone DC'd. Okay. Okay, apparently there was a disconnect with someone on this blue side, or no, red side. And we are gonna be waiting for them to reconnect. It looks like things were on pause, so things should be starting up in just a moment.
Okay.
Meanwhile, just looking back at that fight, we saw that OXO had dived in and was completely knocked away by the Keeper's Verdict, denying him entry into this team fight, which, honestly, having the Crushing Blows would have been vital. Or the Cyclone, sorry, I don't know why I said Crushing Blow, that's cute. But having the Cyclone would have been vital for this team fight right now, and possibly, that Keeper's Verdict saved the entire Dad's team.
Yeah, but action going through the boosted 420 did get exhausted. Never Kali's gonna get just gonna be taken down, but the Cyclone's gonna take out for one-for-one trade. Gavin's gonna be shot down from Kakarino. Quincy Adams on the other side, but Snow King is on the backside as well. Looks like he's gonna be taking it out with that Sunfire Kick. XO is gonna be going down as well for a double kill. And look at that, a 4-for-1 trade.
This could
over
easily
to
be a
dads. This is not good.
This could easily be a Baron right now. They have 4 members up. The only person down is Neverclay, please. But honestly, with the damage coming from Kog'Maw, they could take down Baron so insanely fast. They have to go for it. In which it looks like they are. They use the Blast Gun to try and sneak over it so that they won't get spotted by the little vision given by Scuttle Crab. But it looks like Zyx he doesn't want to go for it though. He doesn't have Smite, he doesn't have his ultimate. And he's simply going to have to give up Baron to the dads. That was a huge fight in their favor. Most of the work was honestly done by Kakarino, being able to stay out of range of everyone while unleashing the Ruin's Hurricane and Gwinsu's Rage Blade combo onto the entire side of the Chicken Chasers. And we are at that point in the game now where that timer is coming to a close. We have almost 2 full armor items on Snow King, almost a full armor item onto Cripple. He already has Titanic Hydra, and he has the Cinder Hulk with Ninja Tabi and a Locket of the Aron Solari. I guess that will mitigate some of the damage from Gavin97, who is building full damage, but he's not really ahead enough to warrant that much magic resist just yet. I feel like, if anything, maybe like a Redemption could have been better, or maybe a Randuin's Omen.
Honestly, it's just fine, trying to set up for that Locket build. Especially when you have a Wukong trying to do a lot of area effect damage. The shield is really good too, but it is just a fine pickup. Has that Titanic Hydra, so Cripple is doing some hidden damage with those auto attacks, and this is where it's gonna be scary for the Chicken Chasers, right? You're having a quad 80 composition. You have a lot of armor being stacked up on both sides. I mean, if you look at Snow King, he's not even taking as much damage as OLXO. Look at that, Snow King is doing so much damage with those bucklers, with those hammer smashes. The Black Cleaver isn't even offering a lot of effect. Titanic Hydra did get picked up from OLXO, which is honestly a bad pickup considering how your composition is. You're not trying to build that tank stats anymore because you're not an effective tank. And look at that, they're trying to set up this mid T1. Quincy Adams has to blow the culling just to try and clear the wave, and it's not even going to stop him. So Snowcane and OXL, it's going to be a 1v1, but now Snowcane has that advantage, and it looks like he's going to be trying to dictate the top lane tempo.
Yeah, and there are two things that came into effect as what you were talking about. One was Lucian trying to utilize the Colleen to clear the wave. When you have Baron-powered minions, Colleen does basically nothing. They have bonus armor and magic resist, which make it very hard to try and clear them with a large ability such as Colleen. You need more consistent sustain abilities, which is where Yasuo would come in. That's also where Graves would come in. That's just simple auto attacks would come in. Meanwhile, with OXO, we'll see that despite him only having Black Cleaver and Titanic Hydra, he'll still deal decent damage to Snowcane in the longer trades because he has the Black Cleaver and because Crushing Blows is going to be reducing so much armor. I didn't even see that coming.
Oh, Gavin, you can't walk up that far. You know, you're trying to get the vision. I understand that, but you cannot walk up that far by yourself. You need a teammate with you. You can't even do that just because they have the Baron empowered minions too. So they essentially have entire control of this side of the map, and you just have to respect it. You have to play defensively. You might have to try starting going to the 1-3-1 strategy now, sending Yasuo to the bot lane or Wukong Yasuo to the side lanes. Try and see if you can shift Syndra out to the other side. But the 3 is also going to be pretty favored towards Kakaraya now just because of how fed he is. Snowcane is just pretty much going to brute force his top turret 1, and Snowcane's going to have to try and walk away here. Looks like he's going to be delaying it for just a bit. Activates Righteous, but turret's going to be traded too, so it's going to be a slow grind for the Chicken Chasers if they want to try and win this, and the sights are on that dragon coming up for the Infernal.
Yeah, the big question is, the Chicken Chasers don't even really have a tank in their composition, so if you're trying to scout out for wards deep into the enemy jungle, or in this case into your own jungle because it's completely controlled by the dads, who are you going to send with Gavin to get those wards in there? At best, I'd say Zayax, but not Oluoxo, because Oluoxo you need to keep pressure in those side lanes, just to make it so that Snowcane cannot be with his team. Yeah,
this is a poor kind of fighting condition for the Chicken Chasers. You don't want to try and do this. They are a 5-on-5 composition. You are not. You are a straight 580 with a double flanking 1-3-1. So you cannot approach this dragon even if you wanted to. At this point, I'd rather go for the steal, probably send them back to the 1-3-1 to just try and affect the side lanes, because right now, if you ever try and base tank these guys, you are going to die. You can't walk into on a front-to-back fight line, and this is what they're going to be trying to do. This is going to be extremely risky here. Nerf Kali on the side here. Going to be throwing Trifle Bullets, but looks like they're going to be trying to dedicate a lot of time onto Nerf Kali. He does have that flash. He is making that just out, but actually he's going to go down. Zayek's going to get focused on by Cook around. He is just fine. He flashes forward. He's going to get a double kill. Boosted for 20. He's going to go for that knockup. Cook around is going to get focused on for that last round, but Kappa activates the Whimsy. Cook around is not even getting touched in this team fight. He activates this Void Ooze. He's trying to go for it. Gets the heal for that last auto attack. It looks like he is 10-2-4, dominating this. And like I said, you cannot team fight with that kind of composition into theirs.
Yeah, and I'd argue the best thing to have right there would be to have Gavin and Quincy and Zayax continue pressuring the dragon, but constantly disengage whenever something is attempted, and then simply having OXO and Boosted shoving the mid lane, because the entire time there was a decent sized wave in the mid lane building up, and they could have used that to their advantage to keep pressure on the lanes to try and deny the dragon from even happening, but instead they went for a fight, they lost it, and they just completely gave up the pressure that they had and the opportunity that came with it.
Yeah, this is such a risky kind of call, but Quincy Adams looks like he's going to be taken down from Snowcane. Stunned into the wall, Cripple's unstoppable. 5-0-2, got to give the jungle some credit. Hasn't even died just yet.
5-0-12.
5-0-12 as a jungler. That is huge. Part of 17 out of 21. High kill participation from Cripple. So credits to him.
Yeah, and there's equally high kill participation over on Kakarino, being 10-2-5. His 2 deaths were very early on, and now you can see that he has a Winsu's Range Blade, Blade of the Rune King, Ruin's Hurricane, Stairs Gauge, and a Ninja Tabai. So he is going to be incredibly tanky, very durable, especially with Kappa XO, dedicating all of his resources to keeping Kog'Maw alive and buffing him up with the Whimsy and with that... with the Ardent Sensor.
Let's be honest here, let's just be honest here, let's just get it out of the way. Kakarina is pretty much fed at this point. You can't do anything to this man. Even if OXO is going to try and maybe flash and sneak his way into the back line, you have the Lulu, you have the Blood Bowl, you have these defensive things, and honestly you just stand still pretty much. If they want to run at you, that's fine. That's fine for them. So now the main thing for the chicken chase is that you guys have to play away from this Kog'Maw. You have to 1-3-1 at this point because you guys don't, then you guys have no win condition. You guys want a 5-on-5, that's gonna be bad. 1-3-1 is also even riskier, but Karkaron's gonna catch Gavin on the one side, and he looks like he just wants a 1v2 here. Red buff is gonna burn him down. Hurricane is gonna hit up Zyx, but looks like they have their sights on Baron. Just support is down. And let's see what they want to do here. Actually, they just want to go for that fight. Stun doesn't go through. Karkaron is gonna go for that chase. No Kane is here as well. It looks like they're gonna be trying to force this 5-on-5, and Keeper's Race is gonna knock him up. Karkaron is godlike at this point. Zyx is trying to run away with that collateral damage. The Void Ooze is gonna. The Arcane Barrage isn't gonna land. Is it Arcane Barrage? Sorry about that.
Yeah, that is.
Just use it. Oh yeah, the Living Artillery actually. Living Artillery from Kirkland Rhino. So yeah, let's have the sights on the Baron. This should be an easy closeout from here now. 7k ahead. Probably gonna come up to roughly around 60k now. Quincy, you should not be there at this point. You should just try and run down that mid lane with your damn Wukong and get that mid T2. But Snowkin's gonna zone him out. Baron is gonna get picked up. And what are they doing? Chicken chasers, just run!
They are just allowing this Baron to happen. They are just putting themselves well overextended. Granted, gained some of that push pressure, made it so they're delaying the inevitable just by a few seconds. But in all honesty, the only thing I can see them trying to do would be that 1-3-1 setup as you said, but it's too late. They have the Baron, they have the massive minion wave over in this mid lane. They're taking the sword, just going down.
I mean, look at this, but look at that. Olaf is going to go for that knockup. The last one's going to go. Karkaron's actually going to go down. The carry is gone. He is not godlike anymore. He is fallen to earth, but Nerf is still up. There's still one carry threat. Nerf on a 1v2. Can he do it? Lands a Q. It looks like Quincy Adams just left on its own. When you dedicate time to one carry, the other carry is going to come up and rise. Nerf, please, are you going to get him? Quincy Adams is going to try and run away. It looks like he's going to make it out, but Inhibitor is going to get traded. So good fight from Chicken Chases, but it's too late. They're too strong.
Yeah, and they still have Baron on 2 members, being Kepekso and Nerfakali Please, who honestly are going to be there with the wave pushing most of the time, because you're going to have Kepekso there with Kog'Maw, and then Nerfakali Please is the main source of wave clear from the team. And I was going to mention earlier, even if the 1-3-1 starts to work out for the side of the Chicken Chasers, what are they going to do to keep the pressure in the mid lane with that 3 set of the split push, seeing as they don't really have anyone on their team with a good amount of wave clear, except maybe Quincy Adams, but anytime he wants to go and do decent wave clear, he's going to put himself in a threat zone unless he wastes the call lane every single time it's up.
Zyx, Graves does have a decent amount of wave clear in the mid lane, so if they have to, essentially their composition, they had to start snowballing extremely early and then force the 1-3-1 as quick as they can. But because they opted into these 5-on-5 fights, they opted into dedicating, just trying to go for these 4-man dives on the bottom side, which didn't work out. This is the consequences of it. You have to, just win the lanes individually, and maybe Zyx comes in to just help push in a wave. Zyx just can just farm up the entire time. He's not that much of a ganking jungler. It's a farm jungler, and this is what happens when you have a high execution composition, and you play, but then you don't execute it properly. You have to 1-3-1. You have to get an early lead. You have a lot of these prerequisites into the composition itself that ultimately, you have to have high-level players and have to have poise and dedication to how the composition is played. But at that point, you still have to win the lane. And that's the main thing. You have to execute individually to win the lane by yourself or with the jungler as well. And that's the main thing, is that they just couldn't execute on that edge, and Dragon is going to get taken. 2 Ocean Dragons for that 4 as well, and Elder is going to be coming up. They're going to try and do this 1-3-1, but it's not going to be looking good so far. And Dad's just gonna try and push it to a side lane. It's gonna be grouping up as what the composition will be. Good setup right here as well, because they are gonna be denying a kind of a flanking position. Since they are in a side wave, they can only come from the right side on the map. So set up the ward, set up your flank vision, and just try and brute force it down. And as you can see here, fight comes out. Snowcane is gonna stun out. Olexo is gonna try and force it onto the backside, but Nerfakali is gonna go down. But look at that, Nerfakali activates that hourglass, boosting 420s on the backside, and there you go. The two solo laners are down. Can the other 3 defend it? Zyx is pretty low. Karkaron is gonna be running straight at it. Dodges, but no, he flashes right into the stun. But he's gonna be okay. Scary Gage does get procced up, so he's gonna be fine here. And they're just going to wait it out with that ocean buff and just going to try and take it out slowly but surely.
Yeah, and I actually doubt that they'll really be able to do much in terms of delaying this game right now, just because 2 inhibitors are going to be down. The Baron buff is gone, but all 5 members are still up. The only person who's really low right now is crippled. However, he has a decent amount of health regeneration to his side with that double ocean, and as long as he stays out of champion combat and can avoid being poked, but look! Quincy Adams just gets burned and melted by this Kog'Maw.
I mean, look at Kog'Maw around. He just runs up, just trying to take it out. That's going to be game here. Looks like UMD Dads is going to go and try and take it out. Game goes over to the UM Dads, but actually looks like more action coming through. Remember, Caliphate does get exhausted, but Crypt and Kappa is going to finish up the Nexus turret, and they're going to take it down. And victory goes over to UM Dads.
All right, so that's going to be game number 1 between the UM Dads and the Chicken Chasers, going over towards the Dads. And Kappa XO is a sub. We have to remember that he was a sub coming in for the support role, and he played an excellent job on this Lulu. You mentioned up that it was coming up in Rising. It's a very buff-heavy type of support that is single-target peel, and it was played excellently in terms of synergizing with this Kog'Maw. And the amount of damage that was dealt was just insane. I actually want to take a look at the damage charts real quick. We can see that. Oh! 36,000 damage from Captain Rhino.
That's the thing, man. That's the beauty of this composition. If you allow it, you just boost up this at late game attack damage carry, he's going to go off. And he even went off in the early stages, right around the 15, 20-minute marks. He was roughly 5 to 2 and 3 at that point. He already picked up another item versus the Lucian, where Lucian was still on it. And even then, if you look at the 80 carries, you look at the Graves and you look at the Lucian, the attack damage carries, they only did a total of roughly 17,000 damage. I'm sorry, 7,000 damage, 7,100 damage in total as the jungler and as the AD carry. That's how much damage they did. They couldn't even walk up to the Nunu and the Poppy, and even to the Cinder, because they know they can get one shot. And the most damage dealt on from the Chicken Chasers was that brand. So gotta give credits to the UMD Dads, but Chicken Chasers, they did shot themselves in the foot with their composition. It wasn't well thought out. It was an early game composition that required a lot of prerequisites to finish, and they had to complete these things to even think about a win condition. So, kind of poor drafting from UMD Chicken Chasers, but Chris, the UMD Dad, they played out their composition perfectly, and there goes the victory.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a lot of the game was kind of decided at Champions League just because of this full AD composition going up against a Poppy and a Nunu, as well as one thing we actually forgot about is that Nunu and Lulu both also work together with Kog'Maw because they have the Blood Boil, they have the Whimsy, which is just going to give a massive increase of attack speed over to Kog'Maw, which we only saw build 2 attack speed, well, technically 3 with Rageblade, Runins, and Bork. And that ended up being a majority of what went through in that game to give the win over to the Dads. All right, and we are going to be wrapping up game number 1 here. We'll be going on to game number 2 in just about 5 to 6 minutes. It will be, let me just make sure I have it right real quick. It's going to be Gustavus versus the UM Dads, so they will be returning again for game number 2. Let's see if they can win 2 in a row, or if Gustavus is going to be able to turn around and make something of themselves. We will be coming back in just a few moments.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, and we are back. We're going to be getting to game number 2 in just a few moments. It's going to be the Gustavus versus the UM Dads. Now we saw them last game. They had a victory against the UMD Chicken Chasers in a pretty solid way, having a very well drafted team composition, very late game oriented. And this time around, I wonder if they're going to go for something similar, or if they're going to be going for something different, such as a earlier game composition. What do you think?
Yes. So if you look at the UMD Dads, they're going to be playing same side, red side again. If they want to go for the protect the 80 carry comp, they did see it. You did see the proper execution of how they did it, but you also have to give credits to their opponents. UMD Chicken Chasers shot themselves in the foot in the draft phase. They had the first pick Graves. They were able to counterpick the mid lane, but they mispicked in the top lane, and they forced themselves to a full-on 80 composition, which is improper. And they had a time they had to play against the clock against UMD Dads. Now, if UMD Dads do go try and play the particular 80 carry comp, we have to see if Gustavus can properly draft into that. Especially with protect the 80 carry comps, it's usually a maybe 1/2 threat composition. If Gustavus is able to create pressure and just build up that tempo and start taking out these turrets and stop getting into team fights, then we can see these compositions go in favor in regards to these 5-on-5 compositions. But that's the main thing. If they do want to go for it, that they have to properly answer it on a macro level and also in the early mid game, which is mainly the weaknesses of the protect the 80 carry comps.
Yeah, no, that seemed to work out extremely well for the Dads, and we are just going to be waiting for Champions Select to hit, and we'll see whether or not they go for a similar composition. I'd imagine it wouldn't be the exact same thing. If we do see another first-round pick of the Lulu Kog'Maw, I'm sure Gustavus is going to be knowing more readily how to counteract that by not necessarily drafting into something so early game focused, and maybe something that has a bit stronger of a dive potential.
Yeah, agreed. But I definitely want to see what they can do here if they want to draft it out. But yeah, got to see what they can do here.
All right, and we are just going to be setting up the lobby. We are still waiting to get our final caster in here. And we just need to set it up so that we can have one person leave, Chilling Walk gets in, and the other person rejoins.
All right. Cannot wait to see how well Gustavus drafts this. So while we're waiting for the lobby to get set up and while we're waiting for me specifically, what are your thoughts on Gustavus so far into the Minnesota League Championship Series? How are they holding up in regards to the ratings and the standings?
For Gustavus, they actually are the lowest of the standings. They're currently 1-5, so I'm not, from a statistical standpoint, expecting them to do too well, but they could easily turn around and show us that they are something to be worth fearing in this next game, where if they end up turning around and beating the Undads, they will be placing themselves just around the same setting of the St. Cloud. And if they are able to show themselves up in that sense, I really want to see how they could go from this point forward. Most of their games have been with a bit of an early game draft composition in mind, with a big snowball focus whenever they're in their games. The biggest issue that I've been facing them are usually teams such as what we saw Dads play last time, with a very peel heavy or tank heavy team being able to undermine the initial setup of the composition.
Yeah. Yeah, so got to see how Gustavus can do. They are what were they ranking? They were 1-5?
Yeah.
1-5 so far, so they are the envy and the team liquid of this LCS, MNLCS so far, and I want to see what they can do here. They have nothing to lose, so this is a good time to just play whatever you want, play to win, and just play to have fun at this point. So, don't get stressed out in regards to who your opponent is. Just focus on what you can do as a team, focus on your core fundamentals, and that can carry you a long ways regardless of rank or regardless of skill. You have the core fundamentals of macro and fundamentals of the smaller micro game. You can win against these higher tier teams just because you're playing the map, you're not playing the opponent. So I want to see if Gustavus can play that high macro game, or if not, that if Dads can possibly show a good macro game as well. And look at that, we're going to be going right into champion select here. Gustavus on the blue side and Dads on the red side. And let's see what their first ban is going to be.
Yeah, and who
Could be
knows?
the Rengar.
We may even see them.
Oh,
There's the Kog'Maw. I was actually about to say that. We may see a direct ban against Kog'Maw and Lulu here. Granted, if you get rid of the Kog'Maw, you're getting rid of the Lulu inherently. Just because she is the main AD carry that she synergizes with, and I wonder what the dads are going to be doing for their composition in terms of that. So whether or not they're going to retaliate with something a little more mid-game or early-game focused, or whether or not they're simply going to be choosing a different AD carry, such as Jinx.
yeah, I mean, they can pick it up. Lulu doesn't need to be paired with a hybrid carry specifically, however, just because of how strong Lulu is in the current meta. You have the Karmas, you have the Namis, and Lulu's 3 utility supports in the support pool so far. So Lulu, you don't have to choose it with a hyper carry. She does tend to scale off later on the game, but she offers a lot of utility. Whimsy is highly underrated, but speaking of Lulu, they are going to ban it out. They are going to get rid of it in case if they do play that Jinx. That, as you said, Lulu is a high priority support after the Karma as well. So smart ban. It is an overall good ban. The Cogman and the Yasuo, of course, are target bans now. We want to see what UMD wants to ban here. I'm not too sure. You could see the Shen, could see the Rumble. Those are pretty strong top laners. Maybe they're even the Renekton as well. Callista actually getting banned over. Is that possibly a pocket pick from 0 and 5 or no?
Not sure. I've actually never seen 0 and 5 play Callista, so maybe it was something that they saw in a scrim if these teams have scrimmed against one another. Other than that, the only thing I could guess would be maybe their composition they're going to build for next would be hard countered by a Callista. So maybe something skill shot heavy. Maybe they're looking to play Thresh instead of Lulu. Or I'm simply not so sure. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, look at that. Thonalis is going to get banned as well. Probably one of the best blind pickable top lane tanks as well. But Graves is going to get first picked here. You did see Zayek's last game on UMB Chicken Chasers play it out. Not so full effective, so I want to see what 0 and 5 can do on Graves. But this is going to open up to red side, possibly picking their bottom lane now. They do have the Malzahar is up. Haven't seen that actually. Malzahar was up. Not a lot of people picked it. It does force a QSS, allows for a lot of easy kind of picks. But the Nami blind pick. See if they want to lock this in with their AD carry. They could go for the Nami Ezreal in the bottom lane. We did see, if you did watch LCK, that is a strong bottom lane. SKT is happily okay to blind pick that into other compositions just because of how proficient Bang is with the Ezreal and how good Wolf is on Nami. But looks like Cripple might want to go for that Jarvan, the 4th in that jungle, and looks like he will. And Nami is going to get locked down for UMDads.
Yeah, and that's going to be a Nami Jarvan. That could be a Jarvan in the top lane, or that could also be a Jarvan in the jungle. We're not sure yet, because they could be hovering over Cripple's slots, but then trade it over to the top lane just to try and play mind games with them. That would be an excellent move if they do pull it off. Or it could even be something as crazy as a Jarvan mid lane full AD with lethality or something like that. Again, he is a very versatile champion, so we don't really know, and it's really a wonder as to how Gustavus is going to try to play around this. It looks like...
Ooh.
Are they actually going to pick Caitlyn into Nami? Because Nami is one of the hardest countering supports against Caitlyn.
I do not like this rotation here. They're blind picking the Orianna. There's the Ahri for the answer. That wasn't a smart pick. And then you're also blind picking the Caitlyn. I rather would have seen probably, the support pick right here. You save the other 2 for to guarantee yourself possibly a counter lane matchup. And now you just pick you pick Caitlyn into that, they're probably expecting Kakarana to possibly go for the Ezreal later on. But I'm not liking that rotation. Caitlyn may be okay, but the Orianna for sure is not a smart pick in the second rotation. You just gave a free counter pick into Nerf Akali plays with the Ahri, and that's going to be pretty bad. But there's the Ezreal from Crooked Rhino. He's probably his most proficient champion in the AD carry role as well. And now you know it's going to be a Nami Ezreal. What can you do? Caitlyn can be okay into the Ezreal as long as you have a good support, but the main thing is you have the Karma being gone. You have the Lulu being gone. Right now, I expect maybe a Malzahar, a Caitlyn Malzahar, something a little bit more oppressive, something that can deal with it. I expect a Malzahar getting picked in the support pool. You could just ultimate the Ezreal or ultimate the Nami, and you'll be just fine as well. Should be the Malzahar here.
I actually could see a Thresh being picked right here as the support, just because Thresh into Nami is a very powerful lane in favor of the Thresh, and you need something to counteract it, because Nami versus Caitlyn is very poor in the Caitlyn's favor. Caitlyn is all about staying at max range and simply kiting people. However, if you put the E onto Ezreal, then Caitlyn will not be able to stay at max range, as well as the sustain that Nami offers counteracts all the pokes that Caitlyn gives through her ranged auto attacks. But it looks like it's going to be a potential Maokai Braum lock, and there is the Braum and there is the Maokai.
Oh,
So
okay. All right.
I'm
So
not.
I don't like this rotation either. Maokai has seen huge nerfs in this new patch, and his laning has been completely detrimental. He still, of course, has amazing scaling as a tank, probably the best scaling tank in the game. But this is where you see the top lane just get a free counter pick as well, right? You're choosing probably like the worst, probably the second worst tank in regards to like matchups, just because of how weak his laning is already. Like you can pick pot. Like you could have picked Nautilus Band, you could have picked maybe Shen right there. You could have picked maybe Poppy as a better tank. You could have maybe even picked Sign if you really wanted to. The thing is that if you choose Maokai on blue side, you're gonna give most likely gonna be giving probably one of the most freest lanes in that top lane, and especially with these one of the strongest top lane champions in the game, which is Rumble. He is so strong. He has free push at level 1. He's able to just bully him. The only thing that Maokai can do is probably offer gang assistance, but he doesn't have damage. He lost a third of his damage on his sapling. His Q has been nerfed. It's going to be very, very punishing for Rumble to even for Maokai to do anything in this lane. And if Snow King plays this matchup really well, you're going to see Chupin just going to be nullified. Can't do anything, can't secure any farm, has to blow all of his mana on the Arcane Smash to do so. And yeah, same thing that happens from UMD Chicken Chasers and from Gustavus. They kind of shot themselves in the foot on their solo lanes. They chose Orianna early, allowed Ahri to get freely picked right there, hides their top lane efficiently, and then you choose a Maokai. When Nautilus is banned, you should have maybe probably go for a Shen. Even then, at that point, you couldn't even blind for a Renekton too. If you just choose a Renekton, you're probably going to expect maybe a Jace or maybe even a Rumble as well. Would have rather seen those kind of champions from Gustavus to pull it out. But I get what they want to do. They want to get a 2-man front line. They want to just try and play for the team fight, and it's fine. But you're going to be extremely nullified in this early game.
Yeah, and in all honesty, I feel like having the composition they have an Ahri, Nami, Jarvan already picked up. They should have been able to guess that the next thing to come up would have been a Rumble. Just because he synergizes so well, and as you mentioned, he is incredibly powerful with the top lane matchups right now.
Yeah, he pretty much, if you're a good Rumble player, you pretty much have no bad matchups. You only have those 50-50s when it's like a Renekton or when it's like a Camille, and especially because they're so good at gank assistance, you can shut down the Rumble in that way. But on a 1v1 level, Rumble is the best 1v1er in the early game stages, just because of his flame spitter, his free harass, and his free pushing ability to catalyze your allied jungler to invade or to set up a dive, and also you have great team fight pressure as well. You lack out on the split push, but that's okay because Rumble, very cost-effective champion in regards to how well he scales. Now, because as someone who didn't need a lot of gold back then, is able to access gold at this point. That's why he's so strong. And Snowcane, smart pickup on the Rumble right here to try and take it out. Ezreal Nami, good lane. I would probably do not like the Braum here just because Braum doesn't really do anything in this kind of lane. You just throw a Q, but then you can probably get out traded in this matchup unless if Caitlyn can follow up with a stun. I would have preferred the Malzahar is just a lot better in regards to just securing the lane tempo and also a free level 6 to go all in and just, free pushes. Ezreal Nami have to burn spells to, get rid of those voidlings. I would have liked a Malzahar in the support. I would have liked a Renekton in the top lane, and I would have liked saving the mid lane later on in the later rotations.
Yeah, I completely agree. Something maybe like an Echo would be much better for mid lane. However, I will argue against the Braum pick just because I feel like that was actually very smart, since it's going to be very good against the Ezreal and the Nami, in the sense that you can essentially make them waste both of their ultimates completely. Granted, I don't remember the interaction between Rumble and Braum, whether or not Rumble's ultimate will go through the Braum shield, or if it will? Okay.
Yep.
I couldn't remember fully.
Yeah. Like, I agree, Braum does stop the ultimates, but then you have a Caitlyn who wants to shove. You have a Caitlyn who wants to shove, but then you have a Braum who wants to fight. So that's where it's counteractive in the lane because Caitlyn either you have to get ahead of the lane so that Caitlyn is relevant in the mid game. If you don't, then Ezre's gonna spike early on anyways. So why not just go for the mouse hard? Why not just double down on like your pushing ability and just shove the lane constantly? That's the thing I have an issue with. Braum fits against countering theirs. It doesn't help the lane. It doesn't help the Caitlyn specifically because Nami and Ezra are going to sustain through. They're just going to poke them out. They're just going to shove the wave because they're able to. Because they're both ranged, they can bully out the Braum as well. So I'm not too sure what's going to happen here in this
Yeah,
bottom lane.
honestly, I feel like the biggest piece that falls into this composition is going to be the Caitlyn, just because it was picked so early on that it was picked hard against. And Caitlyn doesn't really match up with this team too well. You have the Graves, you have the Malka, you have the Orianna, and the Braum, who all want to synergize with someone with AoE damage. The closest thing that AoE that Caitlyn has is her Q, which doesn't even offer too much damage in the mid to late game stages. It would have been much better to have, say, a Lucian right here.
Agreed. If you're going to pick the Braum, you must just pick the Lucian early on anyway. So, could have done so, but they didn't. But we're loading into the game here. We're about to get started here as they're going to be coming onto the pools, the fountains, if you will. And yeah, got to see how well they can perform here. Definitely got to give favor to UM Dads in regards to their composition. The J4 is kind of questionable. Probably would have liked maybe a Kha'Zix or a little bit something different. But if 0-5 doesn't punish the Jarvan too hard, or if not that, if the solo laners are able to help out the Jarvan specifically, then Jarvan can, in theory, survive the early stages, since Graves can just pretty much clear with the full health, and Jarvan has to probably back after his first clear as well. So it is pretty risky for the Jarvan. So main thing is I want to see if 0-5 can punish the Jarvan, can punish Cripple, or if not that, can the solo laners help Cripple out? Because in theory he has three winning lanes. He should be able to just be fine jungling and going into the enemy jungle and securing and denying the enemy farm. So hopefully it works out well for Cripple, but if 0-5 manages to punish him, it's going to be pretty detrimental in the jungle matchup.
Yeah, I could also see Cripple trying to put a lot of pressure into this mid lane with the Nerf Akali Please having the already winning matchup for her, and being able to try and snowball this into a side where there is no way that Chief Big Dog can try and climb back out of a deficit, or even have it where he holds the mid lane while Nerf Akali Please goes and roams somewhere else, since Ahri's roaming potential is much more powerful than Jarvan's, at least in the early stages of the game.
Yep. So, got to see how well they're going to be performing here. Looks like it's going to be standard starts here. Still, no Raptor start from the Graves here. Looks like they want to be starting on the same sides. I'm surprised no team is starting the Raptor start just yet. We see it all the time in the amateur scene. We see it on these high elo teams like Team Sky, Team Horizon, from RMU, from Maryland University, Prototype and Saskia doing it as well. And I'm surprised that they're not implementing and not taking these kind of Raptor starts. It's such a good start in regards to the jungle. You get to hide where the laners get to hide where they get to start. They get to go to lane just fine, and then you also get to level 2 a lot quicker than the standard blue to red. So yeah, I'm just surprised that they're not doing anything.
There could also be simply a late reaction to it, to where they haven't really picked it up just yet, since it's something so new and there's really been no showing of it, at least in terms of solo queue, and most of the schools are right now on their spring break. So they won't really be able to go around and watch or get involved in a lot of the other scenes where they would see that Raptor start occurring. However, we can see that they are both going for going buff to buff to make something get their early level 3. My guess is that Cripple will be running up top lane first. However, Snowcane is naturally pushing very hard, and there's a lot of aggression in this bot lane already.
Yeah, a lot of aggression here. No summoners being traded. Just the exhaust here from one side, but Catbug is going to get stunned out. 0-5 throws up for that Q, but Kukaran's right in the front. Can he land it? He's trying to do so. Monkfish is going to get stunned up. It's going to be a close one. Minions are doing a lot of damage, and oh, looks like he will. No heal is going to be blown out, so Summoner is being traded, but Kukaran did blow that heal. So Summoner trade overall did go over to Gustavus, so they're going to be just fine here.
Yeah, and 0-5 still has both his summoners. Meanwhile, 3 summoners got burned on the side of the Dads. Heal, Flash, and Exhaust. The only thing being up right now is Flash or Kukarino. And I just realized that they have 2 members named 0-5. So let's have it where Graves is 0-5 and then Caitlyn is 0-5. So that there's no confusion.
Oh yeah, 0-5 0 and 5. Yeah, it's actually something I just realized as well. Thank you, Fen, for pointing it out.
Meanwhile, we
But
have
Snoke,
Snowking invading
good
0 and
move.
5 in his own jungle.
That is a good move. That is what you want from a top laner pushing. Just go in the jungle, just check it out for a little bit. See what the heck they're doing, and it does show and reveal where the graves will be. And surprisingly enough, Cripple is actually winning in the farm game as well. Surprising. Usually Graves should be winning in this farm lane, but Cripple doing an excellent job farming on the J4, an unorthodox jungler.
Actually, right now they're basically equal. They both cleared 5 camps. It's just that 0 and 5 went away from the Krugs. Meanwhile, Cripple just cleared them, and he is now towards the top lane looking for a gank.
Yeah, does throw that flag, and Dragon is going to force out the Chupin. So Chupin's going to be not going to have a fun time in this top lane, especially with Flash down. So you're probably going to be expecting a gank maybe in the next 3 to 4 minutes from Cripple later on, since they both have their flashes up. Could force that out.
Yeah, and part of this lane we are now seeing suffer is the fact that Nami does have so much sustain to offer Kakarino, as well as Kakarino actually going with the Dorn's Blade Star, adding just that much more sustain. Meanwhile, we can see that 0 and 5 went with the Longsword 3 pause start, so that there is some sustain, but she's already burned through every single potion,
Yep.
meaning that there is no more sustain within this lane, and eventually they will get shoved out, and the lead will be swayed over towards Kakarino.
Yeah, main thing is that junglers are on the bot side, so as long as they know that Snow King could play pretty aggressively right here.
And it looks like he's not trying to, just because he is potentially tower diving if he goes too close to Chupin. He could always do the twisted advance into the arcane smash, try to knock him just back into the tower, and he recognized that and is saying out of the threat range. Meanwhile, Cripple's just continuing doing the full clear. Same thing with 0 and 5. They should be reaching level 6 around the same time they're currently level 4. The big thing to note is the fact that Cripple went with a Hunter's Potion. Meanwhile, 0 and 5 still just has the refillable, so that there will be a little more sustain on the side of Cripple, and he'll be farming much longer than 0 and 5 potentially could. Needs to actually...
That's going to be a pretty big delay onto Cripple, though. As Graves, you do have that knockback onto jungle meaning, so having a refillable is just fine as long as you can micro in and out of the jungle of these camps. So it is fine for 0 and 5, but for Cripple, it's going to be slowing down his item spikes pretty heavily compared to the enemy jungler. So yeah, I got to see what the fruition of this is going to happen. If Cripple is able to survive this jungle, just pop farm it out, that'll be a-okay in regards to scaling. But Chief Big Dog doing decently well in this mid lane matchup. Haven't seen a lot of punishment from Nurkali. Plays pretty stable in this mid lane. A lot of action pretty much in the mid on the side lane specifically. But this is what Snow King does. You just throw out that flame spitter. The enemy top lane, if their melee has to walk up, it's going to take a lot of harassment. If not that, losing the CS. And as you can see here, 42 to 48. It's pretty much one wave differential right now. And Snow King just pretty much staying in this top lane, pushing it pretty hard.
Yeah, and we could see some potential ganks being focused on towards the bot lane, just because both the top lane and the mid lane on the side of the UM Dads are very heavily pushed in. So the only option right now would really to try and pressure bot lane, but even that is starting to push in as the waves simply pass back and forth, building up and then collapsing into the turrets. However, that does also signal that the turrets are going to be lower than possible, and it looks like Cripple's actually going towards the top lane to potentially hold it or get some vision into the blue side of Gustavus.
Yeah, I'm surprised Nurkali isn't really pressuring out this lane as much in this counter matchup. So keeping the CS pretty neutral is actually a pretty big victory for Orianna. Kali, like you said, does have to snowball pretty early. Not a lot of kills going up so far, so it's pretty much just small CS differentials on both sides. Mainly the top lane and in
Don't forget that the big winning point for Akali in this matchup is once she hits level 6. She is now level 7 though, so there is a bit of a delay. However, she has the Phoenix Codex and the Lost Chapter, so it's more than likely going to be happening real soon, especially since Cripple is now also level 6. And if you can get the Cataclysm onto Chief Big Dog, there is no way for escape aside from flashing. So there is at least a guaranteed summoner burned or a death if the ultimate can land.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that the junglers aren't really invading into the enemy side. You did see Snow King early vision the Gromp. It's caught 0 and 5, but not a lot of early aggression on the jungle invades, but looks like 0-5 is going to be visiting that bot side. Crocodile's going to be going a little bit aggressive onto this matchup here. He does have that choke proc getting the slows. The tidal is going to go through, but 0-5 is hanging around. The TB is going to be forced out on both sides. He's here, and 0-5 going to be activating that Q. Cat Bug XO is going to try and go for that 2-man bubble. But look at the Equalizer! It's going to be doing so much damage. First blood did go over to Chupin, but he's going to be focused down. 0-5 is going to be focused on. Triple kill goes big. We're never calling a 1v1 is going to be taken down as well. It's going to be almost a gigantic ace, possibly, and it is a 1-for-5 trade for Dads. Woo! Talk about a freaking CLG ace right here, guys.
Well, you wanted action. There's action.
Yeah, trigger getting pulled and
it ended up with both supports going down very early, and it's potentially going to be the first blood tower for the side of the Dads as well. They'll be having the second wave crashing in just a moment, and with both Cripple and Kakarino there, it should be going down. The real thing I want to know is whether or not they're going to have Cripple back off to give all the bonus gold over to Kakarino, and it looks like they're going to be splitting it evenly between each other, each getting 375 gold, roughly a longsword's worth. And it also looks like Cripple's going to be going for a more damage-oriented build as opposed to a tanky build. I was actually expecting for him to go to Hydra early on to potentially go for Titanic or Ravenous and then go full tank, but it looks like it's going to be the Warrior pickup instead.
Yep, it looks like it will be. He is going to pick that up. But the main thing we have to talk about is discrepancy from the top lane. Snow Cane is effectively 1,200 gold ahead of Chupin. That is huge for a Rumble. He's going to be blowing out this lane pretty hard unless 0-5 is going to be dedicating some resources up the top side. But Cripple, he's allowed to play top side emphasis in the jungle game here. And if they show up here, Snowkin has that proper vision as well. It looks like he might be coming up for a gank here, but this is really risky. Cripple is here for the counter gank. Looks like he's trying to go aggressive here, possibly. Goes for the flag and drag. He's going to be getting a lot of damage. Eagle goes down, and Snowcane's on a rampage. Misplay from 0-5 to play on the opposite side of the jungle right there.
Yeah, when you're going to take out wards like that, you always want to place wards surrounding yourself at the entry points just to make sure that you are safe while taking it out. Otherwise, that can happen where Cripple enters and he doesn't end up using his ultimate. He can save it and potentially use it in another gank real soon. My guess is that will be towards the mid lane most likely, just because we can see that Nerfagali Please is constantly shoving in the mid lane and putting a lot of pressure down with G Big Dog being half health currently.
Yeah, but as a jungler, you never want to play towards your losing lane. You never, as a jungler, you can't do that anymore. You have to play towards your winning lanes. But the main thing is that Gustavus, they all died individually in their lanes. They're all in losing matches now. The gold lead is roughly 4K now. So now what can 0-5 do? He has to try and salvage it, but he effectively cost his life for it. I'd rather put focus on maybe the bot side since you have a Braum, or maybe on the mid side since you have an Orianna who could probably do who can do decent amount of damage as long as the shock isn't going out. But Cheap Big Dog's getting a lot of focus in the mid lane. Charm does land, Tidal Wave also lands as well, but Cripple going for that flag and drag, and the auto's gonna smack him in the face, and another kill going over to the Dads.
Yeah, and with that kill going over, there's going to be the potential mid lane going down. It is already 2/3 of the way down, and right now it's only Nerfagali Please there, so it looks like they want to give most of the gold over to him. Whether or not that's going to be giving a full item such as Melanamicon over, or whether or not they just simply want to try and keep the snowball going so they can keep the lane presence and have potential roaming power as well is another question. One thing I want to look at right now is we are 12 minutes in, and currently Ezreal is already at about halfway stats through Manamune. And yeah, that should be finished by the 20-minute mark, which is going to be a big power spike, since around that mark should also be the time once we see a Trinity Force completed as well.
Yep. And as you can see here, Nerfagali did chunk out 0-5 from the jungle, so he's going to be pretty unhealthy here, but Cripple putting some attention on that bottom side is going to get spotted by Control Ward. Throws out that flag just to see where it is, but 0-5 getting decently focused on. Monkfish is going to come up for that save with the shield. Bubble doesn't land, but here comes Graves for the save. Not really. But yeah, junglers are pretty much reading each other on the same map, but because of the amount of gold lead that Dads have, they can pretty much win every 2v2s and every 3v3s. The only way they can win now essentially is if they fight on a number scale. If they have a 3-on-2 or a 4-on-3, that's the only way they can try and get into it, or if not, they play a team fight extremely well. So yeah, Cripple just hanging on the bottom side. It looks like they want to put attention into this bottom side. Probably go for the dragon or maybe for that bot T2. Already did manage to get slipped in here. Nerf Kali is on that flank. Lands a charm. Is going to get land on a Monkfish on that shield. 0-5 is going to be focused on. Exhaust does go through. Ultimate comes out, but here comes 0-5 comes out. 0 gonna be just fine. Activates the ultimate, but Chubin with a TP on the backside is gonna get twisted advance. Collateral damage is gonna come flying out. Cripple and a 1v1 with Chief Big Dog. Cripple trying to go through. Has a lot of damage. He's gonna go on the killing spree. They're all super low. The Nerf Kali throws out for the over deception. The true damage is gonna take out Monkfish. And look at that tier 2 turret on the bottom side is gonna go over to Dads.
Yeah, and that was a lot of summoner spells and ultimates used up. Ended up being a 2-for-0 trade, which actually had a lot of good survivability coming from both Cripple and Cutback XO to get all in like that, especially by Chumpin and Chief Big Dog while surviving. We did see that there was a 1v1 between Cripple and Chief Big Dog. Ended up going in the favor of Cripple, who is quite ahead right now. He is 3-0 with that killing spree. We also have Snow King, who is 4-0-2. The overall goalie between those two champions are going to be 1,600, which is completely immense. The next biggest lead is going to be in the mid lane, actually. A close tie between the mid lane and the jungle with roughly 1,300 each. The total gold differential being 6,000 between the teams with a 1-9 and 2 tower difference.
Oh, and mid lane tier 1 did get taken out from the minions as well, so that just pretty much guarantees an opened map for the Dads. They can just pretty much focus on the bot side until the 20-minute mark, until Baron comes up. Then they can just refocus on that, or if not that, they could actually reallocate the lanes, send the bottom lane to the top lane, send Rumble to the bottom side if they want to, or if not, they keep the the bot lane into the mid lane as well, the AD carry on the support as well, if they want to allocate properly. So sending this kind of lane allocation, I got to see what they can do with this. Usually we discuss lane allocation pro play, but I want to see if they can actually properly allocate. And from here, it's not really that well, since you want to try and take out the top T1, since that's probably the only objective, unless you want to go for that Rift Herald. But all the objectives are down. You don't need to send Ezreal back to the bottom lane. Send them to the top lane. Send them to maybe the mid lane to try and pressure the tier 2. But yeah, they're probably gonna go back to the game. And overall, this is as long as Gustavus can put up a decent defense on their turrets, this is just fine, since they have to answer the lane allocation from Dads.
Yeah, and I could also see them putting Ezreal back in the bot lane simply to try and make sure he can hit the Triforce Bar Spike as soon as possible. He already has that Sheen. Next was going to be the Phage, and soon after will follow the Trinity Force, which is a massive spike for Ezreal, especially since around that same time that he'll be finishing the Trinity Force, you'll be having that Muramana to be completed with it, which those two together make for immense poke damage, which again, the side of Gustavus doesn't really have a lot of sustain. They allowed the Nami to go over, they banned the Karma, they banned the Lulu, which offer them no real sustain or anti-poke options.
Yeah, I like this move from the Dads, though. They're going to get this, probably going to send their resources all the way to the top T1. Good answer from 0-5 and 0 to come to the bottom side, possibly trade for the side tier 1 turrets if they want to, but looks like Snow King is going to be trying to run down and answer that push, possibly to defend it and have Kakarano Catbug here. This is good lane allocation. This is what I want to see. They did do it. They did it. They did a little bit late from what I would like to see, but they did do so. Chupan can't really will probably be poked out in this lane so far. And look at that. And even then, 0-5 and 0, I can't even answer that bot wave. Can't even try and push it. And Kakarano and Catbug are just gonna take out this top tier 1, most likely for free, very soon.
Yeah, and I want to look at real quick while there's a bit of a downtime is going to be the warding from each team. You'll see that Gustavus is arguably warding real well in the sense that they're placing very defensively. However, they're doing it in the wrong side of the map. They're placing most of the defense wards on the bottom side. Meanwhile, most of the resources, as you mentioned, are going to be focused towards the top side, and that is completely dark.
Mm-hmm. You have to put on the top side. Yeah, that's tier 1. That's your only access to it. You put wave. They did send their bottom lane up to the top lane to try and defend it, and then now they're trying to answer. They're trying to answer it back, but here's Snow King. He's on the bottom side. He's in a split push scenario. He could probably try and beat anyone who approaches him, or if not that, pressure him out. And yeah, it's gonna be a 3-2 split coming in from the Dads. It's gonna be a 1-4 though. Can Chief Big Dog salvage this mid lane tier 1? I mean, mid lane tier 2 specifically. Sorry about that.
Yeah, whether or not it's going to be saved is another question, because there's a long time before it's going to go down. It's only about a third of the way down, and the only person they're trying to pressure is the Nerf Kali Please, who arguably does not have too much tower taking potential. There's a lot of wave clear, But the ability for Akali to take a tower itself is not really that strong until the late game when there's a lot of ability power stacked up.
Yeah, I wonder what Owen 5 is doing right here. He's just wasting so much time. He's wasted roughly around 20 to 30 seconds now just hanging around. Either you're going to go in or you're not going to go in. You have to decide on what the heck you want to do here. Not is going to go through though. The ultimate's coming through. True Shot Barrage is coming fine through. Snowcane is here with that equalizer. Not that great of a placement though, but 0 and 5 has to run away. Catbug is on the chase. Snowcane trying to go, but Chupin with that TP. Can he answer? Looks like he's just going to show up. It's Max Snowcane in the face with that arcane smash. Temple is still in favor of UM Dads here, but looks like it's gonna be a dive on Cheap Big Dogs. Flag and Drive's gonna get dodged out, but the Flash is gonna get burned out. Doesn't matter. Cataclysm is gonna be flying down, and a kill goes over. Rotations are coming amidst.
Yeah, now they're gonna be an easy tier 2 tower take because you have Cripple, Snowcane, and Akali Please all over there, and as you mentioned, there was the Cataclysm used onto Cheap Big Dog, who had already burned Flash, so that kill was completely guaranteed. Meanwhile, we have Kakarino just pressuring the top tower to make sure that the tier 2 of mid goes down, because if he were to rotate over, then they could send all resources over towards the mid lane and arguably could be defended because they have decent wave clear in 0 and 5 in Chupin, and instead they had to go back to the top lane.
Yeah, they just can't risk it at this point. You know, you're so far behind. You're 9k, roughly 10k behind at this point. And there's nothing you can really do. You know, you have Chief Big Dog there. You couldn't really pull the pressure. What you have to do at that kind of scenario, if they're trying to pressure, is that you either have to look for a trade on the opposite side of the map, you send Graves down there, you send someone there, or if not that, you know, just try and hold it out, or if not, that force a fight. Try and do something scrap, because you're going to have to at this point. You have a Caitlyn who's behind, only has a Hurricane, not that effective if she is. You have a Graves who is 0-2, then you have a Chief Big Dog who is 0-3 prior to the mid lane tier 2 from falling, and Chupin 0-1 as well. So yeah, a lot of misplays coming in, a lot of poor decision making on Gus Davis. They have to look for an answer. They can't just match it. And I always criticize when teams want to match on a defensive play, because it just makes it so that it just makes it neutral. You're not looking for an objective, and because of, you know, that's what happens. You know, you're just going to match it. Even then, the enemy team could probably push forward, and now they're going to take a dragon. They're going to take the cloud, and now they're going to take the top tier 1. They already take the top tier 1 as well. And look at this. Now they're going to try to force a steal, but 0-5 is not even around.
Yeah, no, there's no way they're going to be able to take this. The best you could hope for would be maybe a Caitlyn steal, but that's not going to really happen. It's very low chance, especially because Cripple had his smite ready, and the whole point that you said about a equal trade happening for Gustavus not being favorable, I'd say it is when you're behind, just because then you're simply delaying the chances of them being able to snowball their lead out of control. Yes, it already is an 8,000 gold lead, but that could have stopped it from being a 9,000 gold lead by trading towers instead. And any delay you get can always just give you more time to potentially come back. Especially if you have the Orianna and the Caitlyn.
Oh, sorry. I want to clarify. Like, by matching, I don't mean like by matching like matching trades. I mean like matching where you're positioning your players. Like, you're sending forward top to answer a forward top. It doesn't do anything on your side, because if they're stronger, they're still probably going to get it later on.
So
you'd rather send your 3 to someplace else, see if you can hold on to it for as long as you can, and then try and take something. But Snowcane might get caught out here. Shockwave is going to get blown out, and a shutdown goes big. That's a really good stop here, but Nerfakali is going to go on to 0-5. And holy cow, Luden Zeko and Morello and Omicron doing a ton of damage.
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, Akali is that right between stage of control mage and assassin. It just depends on what stage of the game you're on and what style you go for. Right now, the build is for an assassin, and Nerfakali Please is for 0-1, which makes sense that he is able to burst down someone like 0-5, who has 0 MR, 0 HP, built in his items, completely down.
Yeah, but you know, Dads are going to be trying to put some folks onto the mid inhibit turret while doing so. But Caitlyn does have those traps, can lock him up. And Kakarino standing pretty far in the front here. I expect probably a bot lane quick little tempo fix from Cripple. When he's done with that, you're going to put their attentions on the Baron. He's going to deny this and possibly bait it out, or if not, to try and force a fight as well.
I can imagine them just trying to simply rush it down, or, well, I imagine it'd be a rush on, because they have the Ezreal, they have an Ahri, they have a Jarvan and a Rumble, who are going to be doing immense damage to the Baron. And they also have enough of a turnaround with the Cataclysm and the Tidal Wave that they could turn around if they want to. The only issue is going to be that Baron passes second onto them, lowering their armor and MR to where a huge bum rush by Gustavus could turn around.
Yeah, but a sneaky vision right there. But 0-5 is going to get caught out, and Zero cares. Oh no, they're split right here. Nufferkai's going to be doing a 1v2. Shockwave is going to land on 2. Cripple's going to go down. The equalizer is going to be right onto the choke point. Cheap Big Dog is going to go down from Nufferkai. A double kick goes out big. Monkfish did have to force a flash. And Chupin, where were you at? You weren't even a part of the fight. Split call right there. I was going to say good sneaky vision from Gustavus, but poor execution on the collapse, especially when you're this far behind on gold. And I was going to point out that sneaky vision. That's how they spot it.
Yeah, no, that was really good spotting of the Baron, but it was a poor attempt to actually go for it. If anything, they should have been pushing waves and trying to delay them doing a Baron push right after. Yes, they got crippled, but in the end, the Baron was still captured by the Dads, and the lead is massive right now. It's now 12,000 gold, and it was only a little bit earlier that we mentioned how it was only 8,000.
Yep, now it's 12,000. Main thing is that they also path improperly, right? You see the Graves, and you see 0-5 and 0-5 path in one way without the Braum. Chupin was so far behind from his team, he wasn't able to set up the team fight conditions where you have Maokai in the front, you also have Braum in the front as well, or in the mid line, also with Oriana, and then you fight properly. But no, you have 0-5 and 0-5 just panicking, running through. The two ranged carries die, then they just turn around on Chief Big Dog and Monkfish. Equalizer lays right down into the choke point, and then it's pretty much a clean ace. Chupin couldn't even do anything for his team because he was just so late to it, and it was just so not being patient with your teammates.
Yeah, that does obviously show a lack of coordination between the teams, and I want to know how they're going to try and turn this back around in their favor. I honestly doubt they can at this point, just because the lead is so far in the favor of the Dads, and we mentioned before how Dads definitely won in the champion select, just because Rumble is extremely powerful. He's already 2 levels ahead of Chupin, and he is almost at his 3rd completed item as well, mostly being penetration items.
Yeah, but look at that, never caught. Oh my god, just a Spear Rush is going to be chunking out 1/4 of his health right there. Just burning it out, forcing a flash outrage just from one charge of an ultimate. Imagine if he had to do it 3 times. Could have been doing a lot more, but it'll be a quick and easy macro play from Dads. Hopefully, as long as they don't throw the game. Traps are going to be laid down. They're going to be putting pressure onto that top tier 3 on the inhib. TP does come flying through. Looks like they're going to try and set up a fight. Cripple is going to go for that flag drag. Gets 2 men in that Cataclysm. The Shockwave is going to be landing. He's going to be going down. Actually, Shockwave didn't get burned. Kakarana's on the one side. He's going to be sniping out with that True Shot Barrage. A 1v1 onto the Graves. Chief Big Dog is going to be taken down as well. Triple kill going out big. Maybe it could be a Quadra, but Chupin's going to be going down from the enemy mid laner. And Nufferkai 7-0-3. Cook Arena 4-0. And 8. These guys are the true carriers of UMD, along with Snow King 5-1-6 as well. And a 26-minute game going down. GG goes over to UMD Dads in Game 2 of the Minnesota LCS.
Yeah, it's actually quite impressive. We saw the Dads start off today being 2-3, and now they're going to be ending the day 4-3, making it so that they're now pretty high up in the records compared to where they started, going from a negative win-loss ratio to a positive. And you have to give it to them. Their drafting within these 2 games today was phenomenal. They won both drafting phases, and they were able to execute perfectly on the way that the composition was set up.
Yeah, but remember on the enemy sides, on blue side, they both shot themselves in the foot. They early drafted Oriana, they early drafted Caitlyn, which you didn't need to do if you're going to pick the Braum already. And then for UMD Chicken Chasers, they went for a full-on 80 composition. You blind pick a Wukong for the top lane. It allows a Poppy a Chosen just to deny everyone else, denies a Yasuo in the mid lane as well. You're essentially, and then you have a Lucian too, so you effectively have a timer to play against protect the 80 carry composition. And these are the things we have to look at. We have to be realistic here. Yes, UMDads did win on the draft itself, but on the other hand, the opponents didn't draft that well. They shot themselves in the foot in regards to how they drafted. Both teams got the first pick Graves. That's really good. You get the first pick Graves, you get the strongest jungler in the game, but right after that, you just start falling down. I'm surprised, I'm not seeing a Shen. I'm surprised I'm not seeing Shen Rengar getting played. I'm surprised Renekton isn't being played as well into the Rumble, or if not that when the tanks are removed, you see Renekton getting played as well. Or different supports. Karma's getting banned a lot, so we're not really effectively seeing that. Or we're not even Malzahar is well. There's a lot of these stronger champions that you could play when you're playing this MNLCS games, but I'm just not seeing it. Malzahar not getting played. I'm not seeing the Renekton getting picked as well. And then, I'm not seeing the Rengar or the Kazakhs, not even the Shen for tank. And then Rumble gets through 5-1 and 6, gets an early triple kill. Maokai can't do anything in that lane. And that's what effectively happens. So I want to see some better picks overall from these squads. There's a lot of these free champions just going through, and not a lot of these teams are utilizing it.
Yeah, I will agree with you there. Another thing I would want to make sure to point out is the fact that not all of these teams are experienced on the champions that you're mentioning, just because a lot of these players go more by their personal pick pool, which
Sure.
some of it is against the credit of the teams, because if they're not practicing the higher tier champions, that is their own fault. They are high tier for a reason, just because they're so powerful. We saw in this case, Rumble being one of the highest tier top laners at the moment, really paid off for the dads right there.
Yeah, getting an early triple kill with that teleport, a lot more effective with the equalizer. Maokai doesn't really. His teleport impact is only good if he manages to get there first and manages to, secure a kill with a lot of follow-up. But Rumble, man, doing just so much damage to that flamethrower onto enemy champions, and especially that equalizer as well. And you see Snowking doing some damn good ultimates. One of the Baron choke. There's a missed one probably in the top lane when they were taking out the tier 1 turret, but it's fine with ultimate, whatever. But yeah, just God, you're just either going to take that Rumble or you're going to ban away, or you're going to have to play that matchup on a executing top lane like a Renekton or like a Camille.
Yeah, I could see the Camille coming in. A lot of people have been hesitant ever since the nerfs to her, just because she seems a little less reliable. It's far more skill oriented than it is simply matchup oriented. Yeah. But we still have one more game for today that is going to be the. Let me just double check I have it right. I know the Chicken Chasers are playing on the red side, and it's going to be St.
Cloud
playing off against them. So join us back in just about 5 minutes for game number 3, St. Cloud versus the UMD Chicken Chasers to end off the night.
Yep, so that is it. We'll be going on a quick break, and while we're at it, we're going to be waiting for game 3. Welcome back to the Minnesota LCS. My name is William Chillingwalk Moore here with Matt Cast, actually Donovan Fen Fay, and here we have St. Cloud versus UMD Chicken Chasers. Now, if you guys haven't been here before, welcome to Minnesota LCS. This is a collegiate, Minnesota collegiate kind of league set up from University of Minnesota Twin Cities and University of Minnesota Duluth, having all these teams play and hash it out in regards to this. So with that, today we have the Minnesota St. Cloud against University of Minnesota Duluth Chicken Chasers. Now, if you guys were here since game one, we saw Chicken Chasers lose out to the University of Minnesota Dads in regards to that. Same school, UMD, but University of Minnesota Chicken Chasers did shoot themselves in the foot in their draft with an all 80 composition. Now, I really want to see if they can recover into St. Cloud. And with that, Fen, what is your take on St. Cloud so far? I really got to ask in regards to all these teams since I haven't been around Minnesota LCS since last year.
St. Cloud, similar to Gustavus, is one of our lower ranking teams currently. They stand at 1-3. Now, the one thing they've been doing better than Gustavus in terms of what you saw last game is objective control. They're very good at holding their own jungle, and they've been playing pretty well around the Dragon. Where they usually fall weak is that if they ever can get an early game lead or mid game lead, they usually lack the knowledge of what to do with said lead. And the main thing I think is holding them back from that is either team planning or team communication in terms of that. However, I would argue that St. Cloud does have a decent amount of good micro skill in terms of pure mechanics and the ability to simply try and win their own lanes personally. They can do decently. It's just, again, the biggest issue is knowing what to do after they get that lead.
Yeah, so it looks like they just don't know how to close out a game if they do get a grasp of it. And so I got to see if St. Cloud can improve on that in this game against the UMD Chicken Chasers. Now, UMD Chicken Chasers, they do have a lot of higher elo teams. They have a lot of diamonds on their squad, and they do, they are known for their mechanical ability, just that they misplay on the draft and they misplay in regards to execution. And I want to see if teams pick up on this Raptor start. It's already been week 2 in patch 7.5. A lot of these stronger junglers, such as the Graves and such as, Nunu can probably do it as well, as long as you start Hunter's Talisman. And even back then, patch 7.4, Rengar did it. And we did see it in LCS2, like last games in regards to patch 7.4. These professional teams have been doing Raptor start, so I'm surprised that these teams haven't picked it up yet. And if they do, if they have tried or if they haven't tested it, it accelerates how the jungle is played and just allows a lot more creativity in regards to like the early game pathing.
Yeah, and with that early game pathing, though, the biggest thing that I would say is a slight issue to the Raptor start is the fact that it is very dangerous early on if you don't have a decent leash from it, just because most people will die early onto it. That's why it's only select few junglers that can't pull it off, such as Graves, Rengar, or Nunu, who have very good self-sustain. I could also argue maybe someone like
Kha'Zix can do it as long as you start W and you go for Hunter's Talisman. You can definitely do it in Kha'Zix for sure.
Yeah. And maybe even an Elise, since you have the natural self-sustain and you start your W, as well as if you have someone from your mid lane, such as, say, an Orianna or an Ari, who can simply throw out one ability and give you decent damage on the camp.
Yeah, the thing with the mid lane actually leashing for Raptors is that it just reveals where your ally junglers start. Because the thing with the Raptor camp is that you want to try and hide it like the most effective way you can, and usually that's why you see early in professional play that you see like these teams go for like these kind of later invades to see if they are doing Raptors, because if they do, then it's pretty easy to know where they're going to be starting. Either you start the Raptors or you're going to be starting at a buff. That's why Raptors is the only kind of like buff you can take early on. You can't really do Wolves level 1. You could do Grab if you really wanted to. It's just kind of inefficient. But Raptors, as long as they just do a lot of damage, but they are very, very easy to clear as long as you have that AoE, that area of effect damage as well. And that's why you see a lot of Raptors. That's why you don't want to have the mid laner toss an ability, because it just reveals a lot of these things. Sometimes you do see solo lanes actually coming in to help with the leash. Back then when Maokai was good, Maokai would actually toss saplings into the Raptor pit to help the enemy jungler. It kind of just somewhat detrimented his early game laning, but now Maokai has a very, very poor laning right now. Alice can sometimes do it. Maybe so the support from the bottom lane can also help out too. And that's the main things that Raptors usually, you want to try and hide the Raptor start, because you want to try and have the enemy jungler guess it. Unless the enemy jungler is reading that Raptors are gonna both teams are taking Raptors evenly, then it's gonna be pretty standard from there.
Yeah, it would be pretty standard from there. And the thing that I would also want to say to look for is going to be, if you don't know exactly where the junglers are starting, the best or the next best thing you can do is just go for early warding. The best time to do that is usually around the 245 mark, because that is when the third camp is usually cleared by junglers. And I also know an old trick that people would do back in 7.4 is, if you took 2 experience increasing quints, you would actually get level 3 just off of red and raptors, which could also add to that whole raptor start on someone like Graves to go for a very early gank.
Yeah.
But it's also something that will detriment you into the mid to the late game stages, since you will be missing those extra stats you would have otherwise from runes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, yeah, I want to see if there's maybe sometimes when you see a Graves getting chosen, because from these first 2 games, Graves has been heavily prioritized. I want to see if maybe we can see like Elise Sin getting picked, or maybe even Elise. Those are 2 are pretty much the 2 champions that can duel decently into the higher tier junglers, such as the Graves and the Kazakhs early on. Of course, they're gonna lose their scaling later on, but those are usually the best 2 who can kind of match in regards to like the level 1 to level 5 scalability with those champions. So if Blue Side does want to prioritize, if a St. Cloud wants to get the Graves early on, again, maybe we can see Zyx on maybe a Lee Sin or an Elise into that matchup, or maybe even a Kha'Zix. We haven't seen Kha'Zix so far as well. Actually, we only seen in game 1. Actually, I do apologize, but yeah, I want to see if these other champions, or maybe an Ivern. You never know.
Yeah, because Iron was banned last game, and it seems like people are slightly fearing it. So it could also just be that there's going to be another Kha'Zix ban against Zyx, because people do recognize that Zyx does have a bit of a power to him whenever he's on the Kha'Zix. And so in that case, I'd imagine that you'll see something, either the Graves again. It could be prioritized by the Chicken Chasers because they prioritized it back in game 1. However, they are on red side, so they won't have that ability to priority pick it.
Yeah, but as we're going here, we're going right into the champion select. So St. Cloud against UMD Chicken Chasers now. I want to see what St. Cloud wants to ban first. Not really hovering. I would be expecting maybe a Graves event if they don't want to see that Graves being played in this game overall. But you never know. Could be some other top lane bans as well. Maybe remove the Rumble, or allow that Rumble to be first picked. Usually you see a Shen, but there it is. There's that Graves first ban.
Alright, so that means that Graves actually will not be getting picked up or prioritized this game around. I imagine if anyone was going to ban it, it would have been the Chicken Chasers to deny that first pick, but instead that's actually giving more room for Chicken Chasers to breathe and choose something else to ban. It looks like they're actually going to be prioritizing Fizz, which was something that Springs24 did pretty well on in its last showcase. And whether or not they are going to be trying to return that with another mid lane ban is something that I could see happening. The best ban I would see would be potentially Yasuo, since he
There
saw
it is.
decent performance back in game 1 with that.
Yep, to see that Yasuo is someone who, requires a lot of skill, but is pretty strong here. Ezreal does get banned from the Chicken Chasers. Is pretty standard ban. Ezreal, I would say, is probably one of the best AD carries so far. Risky in a blind pick scenario, but if you're a good Ezreal, if you're an effective Ezreal, you can make any lane pretty much work, just because of how safe and how reliable he is, and how essentially based on their skill cap on that champion. So good ban right here, removing it from Sean Nelson. I'm surprised Rumble or Renekton still hasn't been banned yet. The Kog'Maw actually gets banned
Really?
from the Chicken Chasers. Maybe they forgot that the Chicken Chasers wasn't the one who played that Kog'Maw, or if not, that they're just afraid of the protect the AD carry composition. We never know, but Kog'Maw does get banned, and let's see what UMD Chicken Chasers wants to ban in this rotation.
Yeah, and actually because of Yasuo being banned around this time, I imagine Boosted is either going to go on to the Ahri or the Echo, because those were his next 2 signature champions, and now we can see 3 AD carries have been banned out during this phase.
All
really questionable, because I don't think the AD carries are that high a priority. But when it comes to the top 2 AD carries, the only one really left now is Lucian. So I imagine that maybe what the Chicken Chasers are going to prioritize next, right after their mid lane or jungle, depending on what they want to go for, because Kha'Zix is left up, and as we mentioned before, Zags has had great showings on Kha'Zix in the past.
Yeah, I suggest they probably take either you go for the Rumble, you go for the Rumble or the Renekton, or for that jungle Kha'Zix as well to try and take it away. These are probably like the best picks you can do, or if not,
Shen,
but there you go. That's what I want to see. However, it is way too early. If UMD goes for that Rumble right here, that is a strong counter pick. They can push the Shen out. Shen does not do well into Rumble, and that's why you don't really see Shens being played. Renekton is also a pretty good matchup into the Shen as well. So first pick Shen, I like it. If the composition works, then Shen will be fine just because of how much map pressure he offers. But for sure, once the Renekton is picked, he's probably going to be bullying Shen outside the lane. Lulu gets taken as well. And honestly, you could have saved the Renekton for later on. You should have, I think, in my opinion, you could have picked the jungle right here. You didn't have to pick the Renekton because you're going to know the top lane anyway. So save that pick for later. Pick something else. Pick your Kha'Zix right now because Kha'Zix Lulu is pretty good. You have you're removing the anti-assassin, but Zach getting picked on St. Cloud. Woo!
I could see them holding away from the Kha'Zix just because with a Zac and a Shen, it's going to be very hard for Kha'Zix to try and dive this backline and an Orianna now. That's a very defensive composition, which if they were to have picked the Kha'Zix very early, it would be painful for him to try and go back into the backline and try and do anything.
Yeah, all I see is a gigantic wombo combo right here, but you're choosing the mid lane early again, so it allows Red Side to pick the counter pick extremely early. You're going to be revealing the solo laners already. Now the jungler gets to choose and wait, but they're going to pick the Victor. Soft counter into Orianna. 60-40 in that mid lane matchup. And Quincy Adams, if he picks this Vayne, we get to see how well Quincy Adams performs on this highly mechanical champion, especially into the Zac and the Shen.
Yeah, and if it is picked up, that means it's going to be another late game hyperscaling champion to be matched with the Lulu. However, Vayne does have a build that allows for a bit more of an earlier power spike at 2 items. If you go the Infinity Edge into the Zac Shiv, it makes for a very high burst potential. And it does have equal scaling, it's just not nearly as powerful as, say, Blade of the Rune Kayn into Phantom Dancer or something similar.
Yeah, and as you can see here, I expect a Lucian being picked here, someone who can bully the lane, bully into the Vayne, or if not that, maybe we can see an Ashe possibly if they want to utilize that utility and try and, snipe out these carries because they're all relatively squishy. They don't have a strong front line just yet, but looks like it's going to be a Twitch and a Zyra for that bottom lane. Pretty aggressive bottom lane. Zyra does fare pretty well into Lulu just because of how much damage she can output and how much the lane is. Lulu does have to. I'm not too sure if the picks actually hits the plants. I know it does for Malzahar Voidlings. It does. Okay.
It does, but for Zyra plants, it only counts as 1 hit.
Ah, okay.
With Malzahar, it counts as multiple hits because Malzahars are more pets, while Zyra plants are, I don't know why it's coded, but I think it's more coded as just like a ward, I guess?
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, I don't really know the difference. I just know that I've played enough Lulu support to know that... Oh, okay, so there's a Lee Sin that you wanted. I'm actually really surprised that... Well, I'm surprised they didn't go with something that could be more tanky, such as an Elise. Because I feel like Elise and Zac could be a pretty good matchup for the Elise. Meanwhile, Elise in trying to go in would simply be blocked out by the Zac.
Yeah, this just means that Zyx just wants to show off his mechanical ability and also show how well he is in regards to a ganking jungler, an aggressive jungler specifically, and also allows himself to just kind of play off this early game and allows him to kind of punish the Shen, punish the Orianna, and aggressive self counter, and also get onto Twitch as well. So with Lee Sin, it just allows that early game kind of gap close with Elise. It is a strong early game jungler, but Elise is favored more towards the defensive side later on in the game because you're just a cocoon bot. You just chug out the cocoon. You're going to stun someone. It's not really engaged. Lee Sin can gap close, can try and flash over to start something off with that Dragon's Rage. So I like it. It's pretty much either or. It's based on what you want for the composition. So it's all based on if Zyx can actually play this Lee Sin pretty effectively into this composition. And now the compositions are locked down. And yeah, pretty much a standard 2-threat composition against a high executional 1-4/1-3-1 if they want to. Victor, Lulu, and Lee Sin are pretty good 3. You can actually just send Vayne into a side lane and have the Vayne 1v1 in the later stages as well. So good team fight, pretty much a 5-on-5 front to backline team fight from St. Cloud against a 1-4/1-3-1 composition for the UMD Chicken Chasers.
Yeah, and one thing I want to talk about while we're waiting in this 2-minute delay is going to be the Summoner spell, specifically for Victor and Zyra. Now, Victor decided to go in, or Boost decided to go into the heal instead of, say, a barrier or a ghost, which I feel like a barrier or a ghost would have been much better option than a heal, just because having higher movement speed or higher defensive abilities would have been better than going that halfway in between, since he won't really be getting completely, I guess, poked in a sense that the heal is better for. Meanwhile, barrier or ghosts are better against the all-ins, which is definitely what St. Cloud are going for here.
Yeah, so with the prominence of heal coming through in the mid lanes, mainly back then it was just like the nerf of a ghost, and also in regards to it just allows a little bit of better dueling potential. That's why you pick heal, because you're possibly expecting maybe a fight happening in the mid lane, especially when it's a Victor Oriana. When Victor does have that soft counter into the Oriana, as long as Victor plays it well. Um, I don't really mind the heal. You know, we have seen the heals coming up in the mid lane overall over Ghost, just because of, it helps out in the lane overall. It helps on the lane regards to like the heal and also this speed boost as well, to maybe clutch out from dodging a skill shot. Barrier, yes, barrier is giving you more effective health, but it doesn't. It's going to delay. It's going to be removed off, and it doesn't scale as well as heal overall. And also, heal works out in 2v2 skirmishes too. So I don't mind it. I think it's just preferential based on the player and based on what you want to do in regards to the mid lane. I don't. Yeah, heal is just fine as long as it's not into an assassin or not to someone with an ignite. Then the heal is just fine, especially to Orion with the ghost.
Yeah, and the other one I want to talk about is going to be uses baits with the ignite onto Zyra. Now, a lot of people would usually want to say take exhaust against Vayne, just because it used to have that attack speed slow, and that's a big keyword is used to. Now it no longer does not. It only has flat damage reduction and a slow,
Mm-hmm.
which is not nearly effective against Vayne because with that percent health true damage, you're actually not able to reduce that. With anything regarding true damage, it cannot be reduced by any means, including percent reduction on damage. That
Yeah,
doesn't even reduce it.
I honestly like the ignite here from the Zyra. It just allows him style, especially into the vein of the Lulu who wants to play the defensive, play very very defensively. The ignite just incentivizes if they get a kill in that bottom lane, they're pretty much going to have Temple the entire time. So it just forces the Lulu and the Vayne to play a lot more safer in that bottom lane. Twitch does really well when he gets a kill, allows him to starts building that hurricane a little bit earlier. He has a lot of damage with that expunge as well. So I like it. Get that ignite, play aggressive. I want to see that kind of tenacity show through from St. Cloud. Punish the early game weaknesses of Vayne and of a low range. So it's a good pick. You probably force out a flash if the snare lands, or if the snare doesn't land, if she's low, and the ignite as well just offers a lot more kill threat, and I really really like it.
Yeah, another thing we could potentially be seeing is that the Ignite is used to focus on Renekton or Vayne in the sense that they are the two champions that are going to be having the most sustain, assuming Vayne does have the Warrior's Bloodlust, and she may also be going for something along the lines of, say, a Bladed Rune Cane or a Bloodthirster, which will reduce the healing even more with that Ignite. And I want to see how they try and counteract this. They could have where Quincy Adams simply goes a high damage build, recognizing the Ignites there, and going lifesteal won't be nearly as effective. Or they could still stick to the sustain and try and have it where Quincy Adams can go off in a side lane and put pressure there.
Yep, agreed. But yeah, I got to see how well they do in the early game. Pretty much, UMD Chicken Chasers have to play out the early game pretty aggressively, especially on Zyx. So Zyx can dictate how the game is played in the early stages. He can make a lot of impact going forward. But in favor in regards to St. Cloud, they have a very very front to back standard team fight composition with a little bit of a wombo combo from Berge and Springs 24. So if it does go into the mid game and they played this kind of front to back team fight, and they managed to get onto Quincy, then it's going to be pretty smooth sailing here, just because of how tanky that Shin and how tanky the Zac is, especially with that dodge. But level 1 here, Berge might get spotted out here. He is going to see some people. Zyx slightly aggressive. Pretty standard level 1 so far.
Yeah, and I really want to know what the plan for Berge is going to be, whether or not he's going to be doing a full clear and try and rush for level 6 as fast as possible, or if he's going to be very aggressive in his ganks, because I feel like if he's going to go for aggressive ganks, it's mostly going to be in the spot lane where they have the Ignite, they have the Zyra, they have the Twitch, and getting that lane ahead is going to be the most useful lane to them in the long run, right next to potentially the mid lane with Oriana, because she has a lot of AoE damage that could easily follow up with Twitch.
Yeah, I agree. But going here, looks like it's going to be a standard start from both sides. No Raptor start either way. No leashes as well on the Raptors from the top side or from the bottom side. So early wards come out. Going to be spawning if Lee Sin starts top side. Early game invade. Smart to see that. See that ward pays off. Zyx could go from blue if he really wanted to, but should be full clear on both sides, and bot lane should be meeting as well.
Yeah, and right now with that starts, we can see that it is going to be looking like an actual buff to buff type start, just because we can see that both of them are ignoring the Krugs and the Ground respectively, going for the Raptors and the Wolves next, and I'm guessing it's supposed to be going to be a blue buff. Maybe Brigade will skip it just because Zach doesn't necessarily need a blue buff, so he's manaless and he doesn't really need the cooldowns that much, since with how high his cooldowns are early on, it's very unlikely for him to be able to get off 2 Elastic Slingshots anyways.
Yeah, maybe Blue could be handed over to Spring Sword 4 to just try and help him out in the lane, allow that mid lane to get some tempo, but that is an oldest strategy, probably not going to, just because it'll delay Berge from getting his speed. OLXO. He's going to get a revision in the river.
And now we can actually see that OLXO is going in to get a ward into the river right by the Silver Crab, which is actually a little bit deeper than just the top lane brush, which I feel like is much smarter the move, just because you're looking at an entrance point, as well as being able to get vision while you be taking Skull Crab, if that's what it's going for. And we can see that Zyax is going for a little bit of vision into the blue side jungle as well, and looking for a gank.
Yep, he is just gonna go and do some damage onto Spring 34. Just gonna be pressuring into this lane, since boosted 420 is that soft counter into the Orianna early on, but I'm not going to be blowing any summoners. And the main thing with the bottom lane is that, so you see how Quincy Adams and Gavin are pretty much having tempo in this bottom lane. Main fault is that they didn't have Zyra sit in the middle of the wave just so that her plants can just disperse.
Yeah, they had to be there to leash. It would have been much better if Berge could have started towards the top side, which is why I actually prefer, if you're going to have a Zac, have it be on the red side of the map, just because then you can have your bottom lane gain more pressure. Because Zac doesn't need that blue buff. He doesn't really need it. He doesn't have to worry about it at all. And if you can let your bottom lane get an early push in and get that early tempo, it is far more efficient for your game, especially in the current meta of things, where mid to late game is the much more powerful stage of the game than early game.
Yeah, and as you can see here, though, Gavin is going to be getting a decent amount of trade here. Sean Nelson is going to get triple proc from Quincy Adams. About to land a third one that has to force out the heal from Sean Nelson as well. So, looks like it's going to be just fine here.
Yeah, now we can see that. Oh, having to burn the heal from Sean Nelson, actually.
Yep.
Okay.
Did get burned.
And actually, wait, are you a few seconds ahead of me? Oh, I think you are. I think
possibly I'm 4:33 here. So.
Oh, I'm off time. Something made me delayed. Okay, that's why I saw it so late. All right, now I'm caught back up. Sorry about that. Either way, we can actually say there's a big play happening towards bot lane right now. Ignite going out. Will it get the kill? No, it does not.
Yeah, it looks like Summoner's just going to be blown out. Use ADC as bait, did have to blow the flash and the ignite, but Sean Nelson probably going to go into Gavin. Gavin does have that flash and the exhaust. Can he get it? But it looks like first blood is going to be going over to Gavin, and he's going to flash out. He's going to make it out just fine. Oh, mistake from Sean Nelson.
The big issue there is the fact that they forgot that ignite or exhaust was still up for Gavin 97, and with it being used up, essentially no damage was done onto the Lulu, because you have the shield, you have the exhaust, and you also have polymorph if need be, which it wasn't even used. It was just, you had the quick burst from the Glitter Lance, as well as I believe there was only 2 auto attacks needed to really finish off Sean Nelson there.
Yeah,
the only thing that would have been better is if the kill could have gone over to Quincy Adams. That's what I would say.
Yeah, but kill does go over. Is going to deny Sean Nelson a bit of EXP and a bit of gold here. Is going to pretty much free up Quincy Adams to claim in this last wave. So he is going to have a pretty fine back after clearing out this wave. As you can see here, 37 to 29. So it's pretty much a full wave right here. Let's see if Quincy Adams can survive here. Use 80 carries, but did also have to back. So missed time to backs on both sides. So boost to 420 is going to be pretty low. Is level 6 though, forces the ghost and the flash here. So boosted 420. Didn't have to roll any summoners for that, but Springs 420 is going to be coming for that trade. Goes in, it's going to be pretty low, forces the heal. And the ghost coming in pretty effectively. Bazax showing in the bot side, lands a sonic wave on to a minion. Isn't going to spot Sean Nelson just yet. And Sean Nelson is going to be coming out from that ambush here. Zyx is still around, but use 8 carries bait is here for the support. Zyx taking a lot of damage, but can he go down for the poison? Oh, and Gavin saves him from the help picks. And while that is happening, action happening in the mid lane, the real J-Dog is going to miss out on the taunt. OLXO is going to be landing the stun. Springs 24, pretty low on mana. Burger is here to show up to say hi real quick, and not a lot of missed executions on both sides.
Yeah, despite the misexecutions, though, we can actually see that decent lead is being built up right now for the Chicken Chasers because they are 1,000 gold ahead, mostly due to the farm difference in the top lane and the mid lane right now, as well as that early kill going over for First Blood, which you can see that the wave is going to be pushing slowly towards Chicken Chasers over in the mid lane. And this is going to be caught up real quick by Boosted. Orianna is back, so this is going to give him a lot of time to try and put turret pressure. Meanwhile, there's a big fight happening bot lane.
Yeah, Gavin, you cannot do that. You just died. You walked up right by Zyra, and this is the thing with Zyra. She's a damaging support. She's going to be she's going to be doing a lot of plant damage as well. Now Quincy Adams has to try and defend this wave by himself. He does have Zykes around the corner, but Gavin, you cannot walk up to the Zyra like that, man. That's just disrespect right there.
All right, and we are going to be going over to the top lane now, just seeing over how Aloexo can try and pressure this turret, whether or not he's going to be using his current level advantage to capitalize on anything. He has not backed yet, though. He currently is sitting on 2,000 gold.
Yeah, but Zyx on the bot side, Sean Nelson forces out the flash. Zyx is pretty low. Poison isn't going to take him out, but looking on the back side, here comes Boosted 420, trying to go for the collapse. Gavin's also here from that death timer. Sean Nelson pretty low. Gavin on a support 1v1 snare is going to land. Gavin's going to get slowed, use A carries, but it looks like he's going to be surviving just fine. And look at that, looks like Sean Nelson. Oh, the heal comes out, the heal bait forces a flash. Here comes Boosted though, and the death laser is going to take him out. Oh man. Yeah,
Quincy Adams actually still had heal that entire time though, so if he needs to, he could use it as well. Instead, he ended up using flash in order to make sure he get out. I feel like if he just used heal, it would have been less of a dangerous summoner trade.
Actually, Quincy Adams' heal was still up, was still down at that time, so he couldn't have healed.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I just thought that was up immediately after. Okay.
Yeah, small little thing right there. So.
All right. That kill actually opens up a free Infernal Dragon right now for the Chicken Chasers, which they are capitalizing on. That's going to be both Zyx and Gavin97 taking. It's going to be a bit of a slow take just because Lee Sin is only level 5, doesn't have too much damage as of right now, and a Lulu at level 5 as well is not going to be doing too much damage. However, Berge is over on the top side. He did take Zyx's red buff, which was a good counteractive move because now he is a level ahead of Zyx, has his ultimate up, which is massive. Right now, a Lee Sin without an ultimate is not too useful.
Yep. Gotta see. Yeah, Zyx did try and play this early game. Try to influence a lot of lanes, but he effectively kind of threw it out. You know, he went to the bot lane. Boosted 420 was surprisingly, you know, had the temple in the mid lane, made that roam, was able to capitalize on the mistake from his teammate. So that's a good thing, but the main thing is that Zyx, he's not really punishing these lanes that are winning so far. He's trying to, but it's kind of like just some misplays on and mistakes on that behalf. Quincy Adams farming pretty well, 66 to 66 match in the 80 carry road. Boosted 420, doing decent amount of damage, and as you can see here, that's why there's that soft counter in the mid lane.
Yeah, and for now, we can see that there was an attempted gank by Berge, but he just had the elastic time. Little short, still getting the stun off and knock up.
Oh man, Boosted and Quincy Adams, what is going on? Getting snared in it right there, not respecting the shockwave. Spring 24 lands it, and you know it's pretty much an 0 for 2 trade for mid lane and bot lane. That's gonna be looking good for St. Cloud.
Yeah, there's actually a huge tempo shift over for St. Cloud. They are now in the lead. They potentially try and capitalize with a turret both on mid and bot side. Just because there is very little wave crew trying to defend these turrets, I imagine bot side is definitely going to be down with this large cannon minion wave over there. At best, we could see maybe a little bit of health left on the turrets, but it looks like it will be going down from First Blood Tower. And to really optimize on this, uses ADC as bait, should be backing off and laying all the gold to go over to Sean Nelson. However, he does want part of it for himself.
Yeah, first blood turret is first blood turret though, so Goldie is going to swing over to St. Cloud. Real J-Dog is handling the top lane just fine. He is surviving. He is under that 20 CS discrepancy though. And Sean Nelson gets that turret. Looks like they're going to be looking for some more plays here. So main thing is that it is going to get some free farm to Quincy Adams, since Quincy Adams is going to be having means flowing towards him constantly. So got to keep an eye on how they play off this bot T1 take. I want to see if they can allocate the Twitch and allocate the Zyra properly into the mid and top to try and maybe force some kills or force some tempo shifts on the opposite side of the map.
And the big thing to watch for is mostly going to be once we see OLOXO pick up the Black Cleaver full, he's going to be able to shred a lot of the armor that the real J-Dog is going to be picking up, which it looks like he wants to go for. My guess with the Chain Fest is going to be a Sunfire Cape, just a very standard build. Meanwhile,
Oh, submarine play comes through from Sean Nelson and that shockwave. The Rat-a-tat-tat is going to be taking him out just in the nick of time with that help picks to shield out boosted for 20, but he is pretty low. Did blow both summoners, and mid lane does have that tempo. Quincy Adams has to try and answer back on that bot side push. And what can they do off of it? Sean Nelson is pretty low here, so good attempted play, but action's gonna be happening on the top side. This is gonna be activated. Use AK's base, gonna activate the ultimate from Zyreal. J-Dog is gonna be doing a decent amount of damage. They help the ultimate, and the Wilders coming in big from Gavin. Use AK's base pretty low here. Lands a stun. OLXO is gonna be trying to dive here. Real J-Dog activates the Shen ultimate, and as well 1v1 captains here. Real J-Dog is gonna take him out. And miss executed dive from OLXO.
yeah, he was expecting to get an easy kill and use ADC as bait. However, that was a huge bait from Real J-Dog. Getting the stand beside me, or wait,
Stand United.
Stand United.
Stand United.
I'm thinking Braum. But here is Sean Nelson and Berge going hard onto Quincy Adams.
Yep, let's bounce. He's gonna go in. Sean Nelson being pretty low here. He's gonna be surviving just a little bit, but Zyx is gonna try and go for that Sonic Wave. Zyx misplaying it, not landing the kick here. Zyx probably has to try and trade for his life right here. Poison's gonna land. Berge cancels the elastic slingshot, and the TP comes out through. OLXO is gonna be, throws out that Q, but he's gonna be dodged from Sean Nelson with that flash, and TP is getting traded here. Berge going in for the elastic slingshot is going to land. Shockwave is also back up as a cooldown. Real J-Dog is going to be getting the kill on the enemy top laner. 2-0 and 0-2. Big discrepancies coming out for St. Cloud against UMD Chicken Chasers.
Yeah, and this is a very similar issue that we saw the Chicken Chasers have back in game 1, is the fact that they are far too aggressive and far too eager to go for these plays, not realizing when they're overstepping their boundaries, such as that teleport, that dive from OLXO. He is simply being far too aggressive. We normally see him have great success on those tanky champions, such as his signature Scion, but when he simply isn't on those tanks, he doesn't exactly know where his limits are.
I mean, we gotta give credit for him in the top lane, though, right? He did have a 20 CS discrepancy. He just overextended due to miscommunication, maybe from Gavin and from his support as well. The Real J-Dog had that Stay United. Good synergy from those who just gave him the Stay United on to use AD carry as bait, to bait it out, and then just capitalizing on Renekton overextending. So, I think it's mainly just OLXO just pushing himself a little bit too hard, not understanding these spells, not understanding the enemy cooldowns, and that's kind of what happened. Is that he gave up one kill, he forced TP on the other side, gets capitalized as well since Zyx wasn't able to help him out. And as you can see here, Real J-Dog is just going to be pretty much bullying him at this point with those Grasp of the Undying Will auto attacks.
Yeah, and we can see that OLXO win for a battle, so the longer the trade goes, that actually will be in his favor. And now Zyx is up here in the top lane using the Dragon Rage.
Yeah, hits the kick here, misses the Sonic Wave though, but action is also happening in the mid lane. There's a lot of action on both sides in the top and mid. Real J-Dog is on the way and is trying to run out, but Gavin with the collapse here activates that Glitter Lance, lands the E, and then boosted 420 is going to be throwing out that Death Laser. Quincy Adams has to try and dodge away from a gank though, condemns him away. Spring 24 activates the Shockwave, but it's going to be whipped. Quincy Adams looks like he's going to be safe in regards to these auto attacks. Going to get the speed boosted right here. Boosted 420 is on the side as well. And it looks like their sights are on that dragon for the Earth Infernal.
Yeah, and right now we can see that they're going to be trying to go for this. Most of the people will be going over in their favor unless Berge can steal it. He is equal level 2 Zyog, so it could potentially be taken. However, trying to steal something from Lee Sin is very difficult just because you have the Resonating Strike and Smite combo to do an immense amount of damage. And it looks like St. Cloud is doing a very smart move by rotating straight to the mid lane, saying, you want this dragon, we want your tower. However, they were not fast enough in their rotation to take it in time. They kind of wussed out and backed off. However, it would have risked quite a few lives had they stayed.
Yeah, they did try and take out that mid T1, but the main thing we have to highlight is that Springs 24 did with that that shockwave onto one person. So because of that, they pretty much lost all tempo when it came to a team fight scenario. So just not really utilizing, or not really being patient with that shockwave. Trying to catch him out, trying to get that one kill, maybe the snowball. But honestly, you could have waited. You're a team fight team. You can wait for the enemy team to walk into you, because overall you guys should be winning in a team fight scenario anyways. So, just wait on it. Be patient with that shockwave. But Sean Nelson and Quincy Adams going to be spotting each other out. Here comes Day1, but Quincy Adams doing a lot of damage with that bilge water cutlass and that triple proc. Sean Nelson not even trading autos. The Stand United is coming through. Quincy Adams has to run away. And man, defensive Stand United not going to be getting anything out of it.
I feel like that entire time we could have had Sean Nelson fighting against Quincy Adams and having the Stand United come with it, just because it would have been a very good fight in favor of them, rather than having Sean Nelson have to get so low and then use it.
Yeah, he may have not had Stand United up at that point as well. Probably just a quick little turnaround at that time. Just very, very instinctual mage coming off, since he did use it earlier on with Zyra. So probably just a missed time right there. No big, kind of a big deal actually when it comes to
having a Stand United down really gets rid of a lot of split push pressure. Yes, the real J-Dogs does have his teleport up, but Stand United is far more impactful when it comes to a team fight, as well as I believe it's a little bit faster than teleport, maybe only by half a second or 1 second. It's not too much, but it's enough.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we can see that Xyx is hovering straight towards this mid lane. It's about a 3-person matchup on each side. Meanwhile, Quincy Adams is just splitting in the bot lane. There's a shockwave onto Boosted. Will anything follow up?
Yeah, just one shockwave though. It looks like Snare is going to be landing on Gam. Though Gam does activate that wild growth. The kick goes onto Sean Nelson. Is going to be taken down. They do have a lot of shields here. Here comes Berge with that elastic slingshot. He does have flash though. The Whimsy's going to be coming through, trying to look for that flash and let's bounce, but it looks like he cannot connect. While in the meantime, Quincy Adams is going to get a lot of free farm in that bottom side. That's going to be really good for the chicken chase.
It's going to be a lot of free farm, and soon that wave will be crashing into turrets. Roughly 2 waves with the canyon meaning going to be collapsing there. That should be a guaranteed tower, as well as OXO still trading with the real J-Dog up in the top lane. He has the Black Cleaver, he has a cloth and boots. He is still not winning trades handedly. Very aggressive flashing by Kevin 97, and with the tower going down, that will equal up and actually turn over the tempo towards the chicken chasers yet again. And now we can see that the Fervor Battle plus Black Cleaver should be turning up in favor of OXO as long as he can keep the trades long. However, he's simply taking the short trades and backing off.
And this is actually a good play for the chicken chasers. This composition, you want a 1-3-1. Like I said, you want to keep connecting to the top side, threatening the Shen. You want to keep Vayne in a side in a split push, since she can in theory 1v1 the Twitch later on with that triple bolts, and also has that bilge water cutlass built up anyway, so she has that strong 40 attack damage buff. And back then, of course, attacks we did get nerfed, but Quincy Adams gonna get focused on, has to tumble away, but that flashless bounce is gonna take him out. Not really respecting the shockwave range. He even had flash as well, so yeah, mistake right there from Quincy Adams.
Yeah, he was a little too late to react. I ended up having a burn heal just to try and survive, and didn't even get to live for another day. Had to pass on, and is now making it so that his team is gaining a lot of pressure in the mid lane. While this time, the shoes on the other foot with Sean Nelson over in the bot lane pushing up to tier 2, forcing Xyx and Gavin 97. Not both of them had to really come up, but they decided to, leaving Boosted alone in the mid lane under a lot of threat.
Yeah, but you have Boosted 420 in the mid lane, handling that wave clear. He is holding out that mid tier 1 just fine here. As Springs 424 is going to be backing off, wave clear would be gone. Sean Nelson is going to get spotted from a control ward. And this is where the game is pretty stale here at this point.
Yeah, the only thing I really don't like about the way that Boosted utilized his ultimates in order to try and survive there was the fact that he focused it onto Berge instead of Springs 24. If he had turned it around onto Springs, he could have potentially gotten a kill there. Granted, it was the safer route, but this team we've been seeing try for these aggressive plays, and honestly, I'd rather see them stay consistent rather than just say sometimes we'll be aggressive and sometimes we'll be safe.
Yeah, but Xyx does land a kill onto use 80 carries bait, but Xyx is going to be traded out for his 11 and 3 kills going over to St. Cloud. That is really, really good. Now they have the mid lane tempo. They can just 3-man rush it, and this is what they want to do. Have that Stand United up. They can sacrifice that top tier once it's going to be going down eventually anyways, and you could probably just push for that second tier turret if you wanted to. You should not be allocating Berge down to the bottom side. What are you guys doing? St. Cloud, just push mid. Get that turret. You have Stand United with you. But looks like they're going to be answering. They're going to try collapse onto the carries right here and see if they can actually do it. Stand United is up though, so I got to keep an eye on that.
It's up, so is a teleport. So if that no one is directly under threat, right now it looks like they're actually going for a pick onto Quincy Adams. He will be called out, but OXO is here.
Condemn is going to land, but Sean Nelson is going to be going down. The Stand United doesn't even manage to go through because of how quick he died, but OXO is right here for the collapse. going to be landing for that stun. Springs 24 is getting pretty low here. OLXO does have his abilities, but looks like it's going to be a 1-for-0 trade so far, unless OLXO wants to overextend. That's going to be just fine here. Misplay going in from St. Cloud, regardless of how they wanted to play their macro.
And this will just be another Mountain Dragon going over the side of Chicken Chasers, which 2 Mountain Dragons on top of a Baron Dragon is going to make for a very fast Baron deletion should they ever decide to go for it, as well as towers. Right now we can see the mid tower just went down with Quincy Adams and Boosted deciding to take it themselves, and that is going to be another swing in tempo. It's still pretty close overall, only about 1,000 gold difference, still in favor of St. Cloud. However, the 3 dragons really make this game far more in favor of the Chicken Chasers due to the actual raw power that they have added on.
Yeah, and I gotta highlight the mid-tier 2 push from St. Cloud, right? You had Berge, their main tank, just back off to try and claim that bot side wave, when in theory you already got 3 kills. Take that mid-tier 2. Quincy Adams and OLXO either has to answer for it, or if not that, they're gonna try and go in for that collapse, and that's what happened. But as we see here, Berge and Quincy Adams try and go for the play here. It's a 1v3 of Quincy Adams. Can he make it out? We have seen Baines do well so far, but Sean Nelson is going to take that kill. Chaos Storm is going to be activated from Boosted 420 as well. It looks like they're going to be trying to collapse onto use 80 carry as bait. Sonic Wave does land. Zyx is going to take that kill as well. And while that's happening, OLXO, being in a split push scenario, is going to take that top tier 2 as well.
Yeah, and that's we're going for the 1 pick onto Quincy Adams, who's nowhere near a turret, is nowhere near worth it when you can see that OLXO was in the top tower that entire time, pushing in and putting a lot of pressure onto there. But now is when they should actually have OLXO move to the bot lane to try and go for that tier 2 instead, because he's simply not going to be able to try and get this inhibitor turret. And we can see that Boosted is in a little bit of a threat, puts down the zone to make sure that he can stay alive.
Oh, but Sean Nelson is going to be taken down from Zyx. And Berge has to try and make his way out of it. Elastic slingshots away from the team, away from the enemy team into safety. And man, a misplay right there. Not understanding how many numbers are in the mid side, and this is just poor macro being played onto St. Cloud. Not understanding like their win condition. They're playing scrappy and they're playing skirmishes the way that UMD Chicken Chasers wants to play it. They're fighting in the jungle. They're doing these 2 versus 3 kind of composition. These fights, it's not working out. Just group up as 5, try and force the fight, or if not that, work away from the 1-3-1, because the longer this 1-3-1 works out for Chicken Chasers, the more Vayne gets solo EXP, the more she's gonna get fed, and the more she's gonna be able to 5-on-5 later on.
And this is exactly what we were talking about back in Champion Select, with how the St. Cloud squad doesn't really have a big grasp on how to close out games once they have the leader. We saw earlier in the game that they had about a 2,000 gold lead, and they could have tried to really take that upon themselves, especially when they got triple kill in the mid lane. They could have gone for the tier 2 tower, as you mentioned. Instead, they opted trying to simply go to each side lane, farm it up a bit, which does not really benefit them nearly as much as gaining another turret would.
Yeah, but UMD Chicken Chasers is going to be committing to that 1-3-1. Hopefully, in regards to what their composition does, Lulu and Victor and Lee Sin are pretty good disengaged right there. Victor has pretty solid wave clears, so he's able to just keep the mid lane out of control, mid lane in control. While if you look at the other side, someone has to answer that Vayne if Vayne enters into a split push scenario. And if Twitch does, Twitch is not going to survive that. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Honestly, I prefer that Quincy Adams stick with the team from this point forward, because we saw the last time there was a full team fight brought out by St. Cloud, they were easily able to win it. At this point, Vayne is at both the Blade Rune Cane and the Phantom Dancer, which means that she should be able to have a large impact on the team fights, and they're actually going over to possibly get some wards around the Baron area, or at least bait it. However, oh, was that just me, or... Okay, no, I was crazy. For a second, I thought I heard the final hour get procced onto Quincy Adams, and I was like, wait, why is there an ult?
No, it looks like it's just a mistimed Q right there. But seeing how well UMD Chicken Chasers wants to allocate these lanes, St. Cloud already doing a good job sending Shen to the bottom lane, just so that they can set up this Baron here. So, and that's the idea, is that when you lane allocate, you want to send the person with the teleport, the person with the global pressure, away from the objective that you're playing towards. And it looks like they're both going to be playing towards that Baron, so that's the plan. They're sending Renekton and Shen to the bottom lane, while on the other side they're keeping it. It's going to be a 4-1 now, and this is going to be slightly scary, because at this point you're keeping Zac a part of that 4, and if Zac manages to get onto that backline, it's very, 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 very squishy, and if not, they're playing around the vision well, and they could be resulting in a poor 4-on-4 just because they have the Orion and the Zyra and the Zag. They have a better 4-on-4 team fight already. Zyra
Yeah,
tries that Sonic Wave.
not only do you want to be able to send Shen away from the objective, you also want to make sure that Shen is far away from the objectives that is under threat on your turret side, which in this case is going to be the top tower. You don't want to split push towards the side that someone else in the team could already take care of. Meanwhile, the Shockwave onto Lulu.
Shockwave did get activated. Wild Growth did get used as well. So it's a trade on ultimates. Overall, a good trade for the Chicken Chase since Shockwave is such a great team fight ultimate on their end, and Wild Grove is just pretty much used to save someone on regards to a skirmish, and not really used for an engage. But Tempo is going to be giving over to St. Cloud. They're going to be trying to take it as much as they can, and they're putting up a pretty good defense. And they're going to have to answer that top play eventually. But 1v1 on the bot side, OLXO possibly going to be chased out. Burger going to be spotted on a ward. So the fight is going to be deterred here, while Dragon is going to be coming up in 30 seconds.
Yeah, and with this Dragon is going to be a wind or air Dragon, which doesn't really seem to help either team. The best team I could see it helping is going to be St. Cloud, just because you have the split push scenario that you want to go for, and you want to be able to rotate as a team to stop those split pushes, especially Quincy Adams. You don't really want to try and 1v1 him in this stage of the game. He has the Blade Rune, Kane Found Answer, and now a BF sword, so really he can 1v1 just about anyone at this point. The only person I could see him losing to 1v1 in is going to be against Spring 24 if he is able to land the Shockwave on top.
Yep, I agree. But as you can see here, good move coming from St. Cloud, trying to grab that Baron pressure while they're at it, knowing that UMD Chicken Chasers wants to probably go for that Dragon. Pings are coming out, and it looks like they might be sneaking it right now. Yeah, that looks like they will be. Looks like they will be, and they will be trying to claim it.
The issue is, what they just picked up was a air dragon, so they will be coming over. However, it doesn't look like they'll be coming over in time. It's already down to 1,000 health, and there's the smite.
Yeah, here comes Boost, though, doing a lot of damage. Has to force up the flash. Burger is going to be sacrificing his own life for it. It's going to be running around for the team. And what can Red Side do? They should not be going for this chase here, but Quincy Adams is going to try and secure this kill on his side. Baron is going to say, but Lazix actually takes Sean Nelson off from away from this camera as well. So good punishment from there, taking out 2 away from that Baron buff. Minions is going to be a delay onto Chicken Chasers in regards to closing up this game, but they did take out 2 kills and should be just fine when it comes to the committing to the 1-3-1.
Yeah, and I actually just looked back at the kill over onto Sean Nelson. That was actually a greedy overstay by Sean Nelson, trying to take the Gromp and then getting spotted by Zyx, being bursted down real fast, having the Dragon Rage and a follow-up immediately after. Meanwhile, the entire time, they're trying to utilize...
And Quincy Adams, not respecting the ball in the Shockwave range, is going to get killed. Like he said, if he was in that Shockwave, he's going to go down.
Yeah, that is exactly what we said. Now we can see a 3v1 potentially happening down in the spot lane. They really want this tier 2 turret. This will be the last tier 2 turret of St. Cloud's side that will be going down if there was a ticket. However, Sean Nelson is down here trying to add pressure, and it looks like it's going to work. It's going to push him off. Burgay is also trying to add to this pressure, making sure they can get his Krug camp. And honestly, right now, I'd say the biggest thing to try and allocate in terms of resources is going to be experience onto these junglers, because at the next set of Baron and Dragon coming up, the next Dragon is going to be an Elder Dragon, and you want to make sure that you can outsmite this Lee Sin, or that Lee Sin can outsmite the Zac.
Yeah, but this is in regards to the Elder Dragon, though. It sets up a team fight scenario that is in favor for the Gustavus squad. You know, you want to try and fight out in a front to back team fight, and that's the optimal way of doing so. The gold lead isn't that big in regards to 30 minutes. You know, it is 49.6 to 51.9, so it's just a 1.5K gold lead. It's not that big, and this is, you know, favorable in regards to Gustavus. And look at that, another fight's gonna be breaking out. A knockback to boost 420. 420 is gonna activate it, but look at that. OLXO is gonna take one. Burgay is gonna be trying to let's bounce here, but miscommunication onto it. But a 2-man shockwave right here. Space 24 is up though. Real JD Dog has to run away. Gustavus is going to be brought from this team by Quincy Adams, has slain the real J Dog. Quincy Adams going for that chase though. Ghost did get active from Spring 24, and oh man, the command attacking distance is going to chunk him out and claim 1 kill. But OLXO is on that bottom side already, influencing and trying to set up this bot tier 2 turret.
And that's the one thing we have to keep an eye on, is the fact that there are 4 magic damage members of St. Cloud, and yet Quincy Adams is still really staying away from killing something such as a Hex Drinker or maybe even an Edge of Night. I feel like Edge of Night may be a little bit better just because of the Banshee's Veil type of spell shield that you have on it would be very favorable, especially in terms of avoiding the shockwave. But overall, you need some magic resist against this very magic damage heavy team, especially when you're someone as squishy as a Vayne and someone who needs to get close to them like a Vayne.
Yeah.
Now,
Overall, I think that Gustavus actually played a team fight pretty poorly. You know, you had Berge land the slingshot onto boost
this
to
is St.
420,
Cloud.
but doesn't even. I'm sorry, St. Cloud. St. Cloud landing the elastic slingshot onto boost to 420, but doesn't even activate the Let's Bounce right after. There is no proper follow up because for some reason they're afraid of pulling the trigger. And that's the thing with this team is that if you have a Zac, if you have an Orianna, you have to pull these triggers, and if you don't do so, then you know, UMD Chicken Chasers are able to pull out these skirmishes a lot better. And you know, I think they just really played out that team fight really inefficiently. Also, like another bad way of fighting as well. You had Vayne on the other side of the wall, doing some damage with the silver bolts. So yeah, I think it's just a gigantic misplay overall from St. Cloud when it comes to this performance.
Yeah, and in a way, the actual big thing that caused a huge issue there wasn't even the fact that they weren't. There's another shockwave, completely destroying boosted again. There is not too much resistance is being built here on the side of the Chicken Chasers in order to stop this Orianna. The only person who's actually any magic resist built so far is OloXO with the Spear Visage, and that's it. He also has a lot of health, which will go a long way. But overall, Orianna is one of those mages that has a lot of sustained damage, especially because the auto attacks also deal magic damage based on ability power, and also command attack is on such a short cooldown that it happens essentially every 2 to 3 seconds.
Yeah, but now, as you can see here, St. Cloud does have that tempo pressure, and looks like they're going to be pushing here, sending Real J-Dog to defend the top wave is just fine since he does have that standing and that teleport to answer back. So this is a really good move from St. Cloud. They're trying to take the object. They get the inhib turret, which is a really good way of doing so. Zyx lands that sound wave, but he can't really answer since there isn't any follow-up. And this is where the flaw of Chicken Chasers comes through. They get caught out in the jungle, they disrespect the amount of vision, and they disrespect the shockwave of what Spring 24 can bring into a team fight. And this is what happens. They take out one person, they just start rushing down mid because their comp allows that to happen, and then they just get these free objectives in regards to that. You know, they get the tier 2, get the mid inhib turret, and at this point, you know, as UMD, you cannot team fight. Your composition itself does not offer for a team fight into theirs. You have to continue with the 1-3-1. That is your win condition, and if you guys are committing to a team fight, then you guys are going to be losing overall. They are going to secure this Earth Dragon though, which is really good in regards to the split push scenario, since you can pressure these waves. And let's see what UMD Chicken Chasers can do when it comes to this.
Yeah, and the Chicken Chasers actually have a huge opportunity right now. They have 3 Mountain Dragons and Infernal Dragon, and Baron will be up in roughly 50 seconds. So they should be back in right now, which they are doing. They should reset, gather as many items as they potentially can, potentially even get a few potions such as Red Pot, Blue Pots, or even the Iron Elixir, just to make it so that they get a little bit of extra beefiness and whatever other items they can't afford just yet, so they can try and take down this Baron as fast as possible. Because what we saw last time is that St. Cloud was able to sneak the Baron right underneath Chicken Chasers' noses. This time around, with the 3 Mountain Dragons, Chicken Chasers should be able to take that Baron in only a few seconds before St. Cloud can even react.
Yeah, good move from Chicken Chasers to send Renekton into the top wave just because he doesn't have that teleport anymore. He can't go and split that bottom side. However, there is a timer on it. Right now, they can actually send the real J-Dog to go to that bottom wave turret, bottom side turret to start pressuring, start activating that split push because he has that standing item and has that teleport to be a part of these fights around the Baron. So if they want to do it, they're gonna have to try and do it. But
the issue is it's far too late. The Baron's already up. There's no way that they can take the time to send real J-Dog down to the bot lane, because the moment they see him, they're going to start that Baron. And honestly, in the time it'll take for the teleport or Stand Unite to even complete, the Baron will probably be down. You forget that it's a Victor and a Vayne.
Yeah, triple Earth too. And it looks like they're going to be forcing it though. They don't have any vision. Oh, that sneaky ward is going to be caught as well, but all like so is going through. The Baron is going to be super low. It's already getting taken in less than 30 seconds. Very can come into the squad. He's going to be zoning out the entire squad of St. Cloud, getting caught out in that choke point. Shockwave does land on 3 people, but Zyx is on the backside. He's going to be taken by Spring 24. It's a 3-on-2 so far. Can they do it? Quincy Adams is still alive. 3-on-3. Gavin trying to go for it. Sean Nelson is still up as well. And whoa, top lane and the carries on St. Cloud survive to live another day, while UMD gets the Baron, has it carries up, is probably gonna go bomb to soak that gigantic bot wave, and they're gonna be looking pretty good so going forward.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they just actually just send OloXO down to the bot lane to try and keep pressure there, since that is a wave that's furthest back. Meanwhile, having everyone else hard shove the top lane to do a 4-0-1 type of push, just because with the Baron buff, they'll be having a lot of immense pressure.
Ooh.
And at this point, Gavin97 and Quincy Adams together are going to be a huge, massive threat, especially because Gavin97 has the Ardent Sensor, has the Mikhails, and a Redemption. So those are going to be massive heals and shields coming through, as well as a lot of on-hit effects and extra attack speed being added onto Quincy Adams' kit.
Yeah, and look at this. Quincy Adams is going to be soaking up this gigantic bot wave farm here. He's going to be setting it, rolling towards them as well. Now they can start doing the 1-3-1 in regards to their team composition. They should be. And that way they can start winning now. Hopefully.
Looks like a 2-0-3, perhaps. I think I prefer the 1-0-4 as compared to a 1-3-1, just because at this point in the game you want to keep Quincy Adams with Gavin97. He has the items built purely for Quincy Adams, the extra attack speed, the extra on-hit effects. It synergizes so well that you're basically wasting the gold not having those two together.
Yeah, but another thing is that, you know, Vayne, like, who can 1v1 the Vayne right now? But Boosted 420 is going to get caught out. Shockwave is going to land. Gavin's pretty low. And Boosted 420 is going to get caught out. And this is the ability of Berge, utilizing the vision, utilizing that elastic slingshot is going to be going through. Isn't going to land on anyone. Doesn't have that lead response or that shockwave. And there you go. Once they land that engage, they can just 5-man and push it down in the mid lane. And it looks like they're going to be licking their sights on the middle inhibitor.
Yeah, and here's where part of Gavin's job really should be getting those deep wards with OloXO or Zayac defending him, trying to make it so that they can see every entrance point for Berge, because as we just saw, if he can go from somewhere that is unseen, he can easily be a massive threat, especially to the immobile mage of Victor.
Yeah, but as you can see here, side waves are in favor of the UMD Chicken Chasers. They are going to be pressuring on both sides, so they're going to have to get this. Otherwise, the waves are going to be dying out. They're going to be trying to force it. They should. It's a 5-on-3. 5-on-4. Don't be afraid to pull the trigger. Trigger St. Cloud, but looks like they're going to be backing off, not understanding, utilizing the 5-on-4 team composition. Shockwave is already back up anyways, too. Should have just done so. Could have pulled the trigger. Could have gotten that mid inhibitor, but looks like they were too afraid. They're going to back out and just secure the side waves.
Yeah, and from what it looks like, the Chicken Chasers are shoving down this mid lane really hard, knowing that they're going to be going to stop the side waves, which gives them a lot of free time to push in this mid wave and potentially start setting up for Dragon, because that is going to be an Elder Dragon for sure this time. I know for a fact, because that is past the 39-minute mark.
Yep.
And
coming up in one minute here, sideways are coming through. No one's answering to the top wave, so they're going to be allocating and rotating towards this fat and juicy top wave with double butt. Boosted 420 is going to be taking a decent amount of damage from Sphinx 420. They are going to take us out with the Baron up mid. So a gigantic misplay from St. Cloud in regards to their macro. They should have pulled the trigger into the mid inhibitor, but UMD Chicken Chase is going to be answering just fine. Forces the ultimate from Zyra on the wild growth. And they claim an inhibitor for free off of a big mistake from St. Cloud.
Yeah, and this gives them a lot of time to also pressure this mid turret. They do have a full wave, but it looks like they're going to be opting over rotating to the Dragon now. They have 2 wards from Gavin that they can utilize, as well as the wards from Trinkets. I'm actually surprised that they don't have Lee Sin or Zayac with a red trinket, just because he already has the Tracker's Knife. He doesn't really need another ward. Having a sweeper would be much more efficient. I really want to question that, but at the same time, it looks like a fight is going to be breaking out around this Dragon at some point. They're just playing a little bit of a dance. And OloXO is pressuring the top or the bottom lane this entire time. The teleport from real J-Dog, but he still has United.
Very scary though. Yeah, this is gonna be very scary. Onto the UMD Chicken Chasers. They are the 5-on-5 team compositions. Zayac is gonna get knocked up from the Alex Sensor shot. A 2-man knockup from the Dragon's Rage. Redemption's gonna be flying out, but Boosted and Quincy Adams are still doing a decent amount of damage onto their front line. Burger's gonna get that Stand United. Zayac is pretty low, but OloXO is on the flank, and this is a proper team fight that UMD Chicken Chasers wants to do. They want to fight scrappy. They're gonna take out the Twitch. They're gonna take out the Shen as well. At least it did go down, but look at that. St. Cloud is routed. They're gonna have to back off. The Elder Dragon is gonna be going big for Chicken Chasers.
OloXO right now should honestly be using his teleport to go straight to the top lane, pressure as much as he can, so that the moment that this Dragon is secured, he can just really pressure down that or the Nexus turrets, and then the rest of his team can go straight to the bot lane doing a 1-0-4 split. But it looks like instead they're all going to be rotating straight towards the mid lane, not working with the super minions like they could have. A bit of a misplay right here. However, this is still really powerful of a move that they're going to be doing, just because it's an Elder Dragon with triple mountain. These towers are going to be going down in only a few auto attacks.
Oh my. Yeah, look at those auto attacks from Quincy Adams, just pretty much chunky. Triple silver bolting those turrets already. It's not supposed to happen that way, but it looks like that Elder Dragon is going to activate it. Do so, mid inhibitor is going to be going down. And an 8k goal lead swinging over. Another one is going to go as well. Almost 9k now in favor for the UMD Chicken Chasers.
Yeah, and with the triple mountain dragon plus Elder Drake buff, this is literally 60% true damage onto structures and objectives. This is insane, which they will be... Actually, they'll still have the Elder Dragon effect when Baron is up.
Yep.
So...
And they're... Yeah, just gonna be a slow burn over for the St. Cloud. They're probably gonna be looking for that Baron, probably gonna be grouping for the next team fight. The only way Chicken Chasers can win this is if they manage to get a front-to-back team fight and land a good shockwave onto the priority targets, onto the Chicken Chasers. That's the only way. Play towards your team strengths into the team fight composition. Don't be all scrappy and don't be playing in regards to, going back and forth. So yeah, gotta see how well they can do.
And that priority target is mainly going to be LOXO and Quincy Adams. Right now, Boosted is doing a lot of work, but he can be singled out quite easily by Berge and Sean Nelson, as we saw, because he is so mobile. And as we saw before, 3 Mountain Dragons did a lot of work onto this onto this Baron. Imagine the 3 Mountain Drakes with the Elder buff as well.
Yeah, Shockwave did get burned here, so it looks like they're just going to be forcing it now. They know that Shockwave is gone. They know that Space 24 is low. And look how quickly it's going down.
Oh my god.
Someone time that. Twitch chat, time it, please. Thank you.
I think that was 2.5 seconds.
2, 3, 4?
Yeah, like 2.5 seconds. That was only 6 auto attacks from Vayne.
Yeah, Ella Dragon probably has 1 more minute left, if not that 30 seconds going down. But should be a clean take from here. They're going to be going into the bottom side inhibitor. And man, triple Earth Drake with the Elder Dragon equals dead.
The Elder Dragon's about to go down. It's just finishing right now. But they still have the Baron buff, 3 Mountain Dragons, an Infernal Dragon, and Super Minions coming from every single lane now. I don't really see how St. Cloud can turn this around, except for winning a quick team fight. They need to have Fergie initiate really hard, and there's a rip Shockwave completely.
Yeah. Shockwave goes through, but Shutdown goes over big for boosted 420. The fight's gonna be breaking out. Berge is trying to scatter everyone else, but Quincy Adams is untouched. He's doing so much damage. Taunt does land, but Real J-Dog can't take out this entire team. Sean Nelson getting taken out so much. The Stadium United is going to be saving Sean Nelson, but it doesn't even matter. He's going to be going down with that triple vault. The Real J-Dog is the last man standing. It looks like the Ninja's going to be surviving, but victory goes over to the UMD Chicken Chasers.
Alright, so that means that, technically speaking, UMD won every single game today. It's just not the same UMD team. We have it where UMD Dads went 2-0 today. Meanwhile, the Chicken Chasers went 1-1. And we have it where, sadly, St. Cloud and Gustavus, the 2 lowest teams on the bracket, are going to be staying that way, with Gustavus being 1-6 and St. Cloud now being 1 and I believe 4. Yeah.
Yep. Good job going over for the UMD. Some misplays going in over to the Chicken Chasers. Some people got caught out. Some people didn't respect Sprinx 24's Shockwave as well. It delayed the game in regards to how they wanted to play. But the main thing is that they did stick overall to the 1-3 / the 1-4, which is pretty much fine. Just basic misplays. Main thing I got to criticize for St. Cloud is that they have to pull the trigger with this kind of composition. You enter a team fight, you could have gotten that mid in hit for free. You guys would have gotten that tempo and just back off and get those sideways. Just kind of unfortunate kind of play from St. Cloud. They could have gotten it. They could have gotten hold in regards to their composition. It worked out well, but overall, they just lost overall just because they didn't pull the trigger. They didn't want to force fights, and when they did, they misplayed these fights entirely in regards to like mispositioning. Some people going into super hard, some people just backing off entirely. And this is where, in regards to team fight composition, all 5 have to be on the same page in regards to just fighting in general. That's it. If all you 5 can just fight, just get the mentality of fighting together, then that's all this composition is. This composition is a pretty easy execution composition versus the 1-3-1 where you have to track the waves, you have to track the timers, you have to track how you lane allocate. So St. Cloud definitely misplayed on how their composition was supposed to do.
Yeah, and I would also like to mention how one of the biggest issues that St. Cloud had is that despite them being willing to pull the trigger on those big team fights and getting the wins in the mid game, they were very hesitant to try and take those wins and move it over to the objectives, as we saw, where they would win a fight, they would take one objective, but they wouldn't capitalize as much as they could. They would kind of split off and try and go for multiple objectives at once, only getting parts of them rather than getting the max amount possible. Meanwhile, we saw that the biggest issue with Chicken Chasers was they were playing far over aggressive early on. They're going for these really aggressive dives. They weren't really looking at the ultimate timers or summoner spell timers properly, making it so that they would go for these aggressive plays and mess them up part way to where they simply created a throw.
Yep, pretty much. But as you can see here, Victor did go over to the UMD Chicken Chasers, so congratulations to them on this victory. And without further ado, is there any other last notes while we wrap this up, Fen?
Well, of course, we do have to mention our sponsors. That's going to be Invade, bringing you some of the best apparel in the Minnesota area. Go check them out. They have their own page on Facebook. And as a reminder, today's stream was brought to you by William Chilling Walk Mua on Play by Play and Donovan Fen Fei on Colorcast.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Have a wonderful night, everyone.